And welcome to Vex Warfield. I am Vex, your host. Tonight is kind of a look into to see how well you're thinking ahead, I guess. One of the things that I talked to, kind of right when I started doing YouTube live streams, I was going on another program called Chase the Patriot. And I'd call on, he had it set up so you could basically phone in. And I would call in and talk to him about the current events and things of that nature. Different things. He'd like to talk about stuff that was, what was going on and the ridiculousness of all the political things in the news and, that type of show. Well, I wanted to introduce him to the big picture. If, he was covering a lot of the things, like I said, that was in the news and what was going on right now. And so I started basically tying it in with stuff of the past, and then looking at the big picture as far as how it would affect and how it did affect other things. And I started talking to him about I believe it was the big uproar a couple of years back about one of their stimulus bills, or it was something along the lines of they were basically going to pass a bill for like couple trillion dollars or something along that excuse me, along those lines. And so I was saying that essentially I was learning at that time about fiat currencies and basically I was getting a little bit of knowledge about the economy and realizing how fragile it was. And realizing it, I started talking to Chase about it when I call in, and other people were talking to him about it also. But one of the points I was trying to make with him was that this structure of our economy right now, if you think of it as a house, it is a house without foundations, really. There is no basis. They've printed, well, now we know right now what's going on. They've printed so much currency that it's going to be worth nothing. And they're doing it on purpose to crash what's left of our economy. Now, this is bad. First reaction, this is bad. This is horrible. This is going to be life-changing. And you're right, it is. But it's also good because, quite frankly, this system that we're seeing right now, as used to it as we are, is fake. It's not worth. The only thing giving it any worth is us using it. That's it. All we have to do is quit using it. I know how difficult that sounds. I really do. But if we stopped using it, it would crumble immediately. We're the only ones giving it value. And the people higher up who are printing it tell us it has value. Otherwise, it has no value. It's not backed by what it should be, gold and silver. I'll know this. So it's essentially worthless. The only thing that gives it any buying power whatsoever is the fact that we want to use it. It's nothing but a tool that's been used against us. Now, back to the skeletal structure of the economy itself. Back then, a couple of years ago, I was talking to Chase on his show about it, and I was trying to explain what I meant by the skeletal structure of the economy. The only thing it was being held up back then was us, our belief in it, our belief, I guess, underlying belief of the country, in the country. And maybe a little naivety about trusting in some of our, end quote, leaders. But we were the ones that gave it the backing, because we didn't ever think that, we could turn into a third world country. We couldn't be just like Venezuela. But we can, and we will. Take note of where the zoos are in your area. Just saying. But the skeletal structure back then, when I was talking to Chase the Patriot, hey Victoria, good to see you. Thank you. One of the things I was trying to tell Chase a long time ago, a couple of years back, was that the only thing holding up our economy is the people themselves. Our belief in what we believe is proper currency and proper use of the economy. But we didn't. Essentially, it's propped up. Imagine a house of cards with a nice fancy front to it. I mean, think of a better way of thinking about it would be a set dressing, like in a play. It looks all nice and beautiful on the outside from the audience point of view, but you look on the back and it's being held up by plywood and 2x4s, and a strong wind and knock it right down. And that's a good image of how our economy has been for the past few years. And that's what I tried to convey to Chase and everybody that was paying attention to his program. And I don't think I explained it very well back then, because I don't think he got what I was exactly trying to say. I kind of kicked into my brain yesterday and today, so I started mulling it over. And I was like, yeah, I never really did explain that. I've never really come back to it. So I thought I'd go ahead and use Friday night here to go ahead and talk a little bit about it. And hopefully in talking about that, maybe it'll get some people in the right frame of mind to think about possible futures, what your possible futures can look like. Now, we all know the images that come to mind immediately, when we think about economies crashing. We think of, more recent times, Venezuela. And we haven't heard much out of them, have we? We heard them clearing out the zoos for food. And that's not good. Hey, Veritas, good to see you. But our economy is schedule, it's around the tip point. Double Jack, good to see you. Our economy is on the tipping point right now. It's going to crash. There's nothing that can save us from it, especially with these new spending bills they're putting into place. Nothing can save us from it. It's going to happen. The best thing we can do is prepare for it, understand it, and keep your head during it. Now, when it's crashing, what do you think it will look like? You're going to have lots of confusion. You can imagine, if you read anything about the stock market crash. Oh crap! I forgot what year what that was. Just totally drew a blank. But the stock market crash back when there were Model Ts and shit. And so there's for the people outside of the city, it wasn't really all that big of a deal. I mean, people weren't going crazy. But what's different from then till now, is the connectivity of what we are on right now, the internet, and doing business from your home, and like I say, connecting with so many other businesses and people, prospective buyers, whatever. And this interconnectivity. Now, back during the stock market crash before, there's lots of suicides. I guarantee there's going to be more, but it's going to be mixed in with a lot of other things like people. Well, let me just throw a little reminder of what we've been dealing with in quote unquote civilized world for the past couple of years. We've seen already the riots and stuff like that. I've been saying off and on when I hear about people living in the cities, get the hell out of the cities, because those cities are going to burn. Their cities are going to be a central area of just chaos and death and destruction. And as you can tell, I'm not very much for sugarcoating. I will try and give you both sides, or as many sides as I can, given my limited scope. But I'll do my best. Now, yeah, late 20s, early 30s. Yeah. But the thing about this is, at first, there's going to be lots of confusion. People won't understand exactly what's going on because, quite frankly, 1929, thank you. People won't understand what's going on immediately. I mean, honestly, there's so many people that are not even close to what's happening, much less what would happen if your money's not worth anything. They're still going to be trying to, take their money and get it out of the bank so they can, pay their bills, but they won't even understand that the businesses aren't even open. What do you mean I can't go play golf today? It's going to be a sad thing because so many people are so blissfully unaware of the trouble we're in. Now, I started in this area because, quite frankly, looking at the beginning of, the crash that's coming is going to be so bad. And this is exactly what they want. In, air quotes, they want as much chaos as possible so they can come in and be the hero, and everybody will blindly, walk to the slaughterhouse. Be totally controlled by them. Hell, if you're lucky, you might become one of their little pets. But for the most part, it's going to be everyone for themselves. And that's going to make everything fracture a lot more. If we don't go into this thinking there could be a bright spot, it could be severely detrimental to society as a whole. And it could ruin chances of us actually coming through this. Well, I was going to say unscathed, but that's not going to happen. It's not going to be unscathed at all. To get through this with humanity, with morals, and pointing people in the right way of living, the right way of thinking, just the right way. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to be lost and wandering. We have to do our best with them, but we also have to keep wary of the situation at hand. A lot of these people will be desperate, hungry, and most likely have a weapon. So, I mean, as much as I want to say be as trusting as possible, you're going to have to be as just as possible. You just have to try and learn this to gauge other people. Pay attention to body language. If they look nervous, chances are they are. If they seem like they're in a rush. I mean, these are things you can pick up on just real easy. Fidgeting, maybe even gulping a lot. Things like these you'll need to keep an eye out for. If you have any inclination to this, or even are interested in learning, you can, while we still have access to the internet and stuff, I suggest going and checking out different things on Striker. Good to see you. Being able to read people is going to be a very good skill to have, because quite frankly, we're going to be dealing with some sneaky bastards. Hell, I'll give you a big example. Pick somebody out in the government. But I've done my little monologue here. I did want to go a little bit into another future. I didn't make it sound like everything was downer. There is a way that we can go through this with a little bit of order and structure, and keep an eye out on our fellow man in our counties and, our towns and everything. Because, the assembly is getting together. It is the only thing that can stop all this, really. I mean, you can go and try and sue them in the courts and all that stuff for all the bad stuff they've done, but you're dealing with the de facto, and that's just not anything to deal with, because you're playing on their home base. Hey, Scrimshaw, good to see you. But you're on their turf, and when you step on their their rules, and that means you don't have any right. You are not a living soul. You are cargo, and you will be treated as such, whether you like it or not. But like I was saying, there is a bright spot to this, and that is we the people in assembly coming together the way our founding fathers intended. And this is the only way we can get through this without making it into a nationwide bloodbath. Because once we stand up, they must sit, and that is how it is written. And that's how it's been written, and it's written in their laws. See, a lot of people may not understand this, so I'll go ahead and talk about this a little bit. The Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, all these things were written by our founding fathers as instructions. Well, most people would say, oh, yeah, I get that. It was all instructions. But do you know who they were instructions for? They're instructions for the government to follow. Just, if you don't know what I'm talking about, let that sink in a little bit. Think about it. Let it marinate. It was written for them to follow, as we the people being their bosses. These are the rules you must follow. Now, I'm sure many of you are going, but that's not how it's working today. Yeah, you're exactly right. It's not working like that today, because we're on corporate rule. Now, at this point, I'd have to go back a little bit and tell you about the Organic Act of 1871. But what happened before that was essentially the South walking out of Congress. That suspended our government, because they never closed it up. They never closed the meeting. So it's been open and waiting for us to fill those positions. Until then, essentially the government, or the military, has been in charge. And in the military being in charge, and us being under martial law, they felt as though they needed to basically hire someone to look after us. So they did. This company was called the Virginia Corporation. I'm not sure on where they were from originally, or if what I'm about to say is correct. I believe it's a French company that was hired to basically look after us. 19 essential services. That was the contract. And soon as this was 1871, when this happened, the Virginia Corporation ended up changing its name to United States of America Incorporated. And that is the government we've been under. It is not the government of we the people, by the people, for the people, which is how we're supposed to be governed. This is by the corporation, for the corporation. And now if you look at it in the proper context, you start to see this manifest itself in everyday life. I mean, hell, all you have to do is go watch, any of the mainstream medias, because that's another step in this. The media has been bought and paid for a long time. Most of us already know this and realize this with Trump getting into office. We kind of picked up on it. But going back into why? Well, the Organic Act of 1871 essentially made the Virginia Corporation the United States of America Incorporated, and from then we've been under the rule of this. What most people don't realize is they were backed by the crown. So now, as far as history goes, think back, who were we fighting? We've been fighting the crown. And they couldn't beat us. They didn't have the resources to invest to beat us. So they pulled back and came at us in a different way. Now, when they did this, like I said, they changed their tactics. It came at us in a different way. Now, in doing this, they basically, okay, we quit, you win, we'll be your friends now. Now, I know everybody can't be, that deluded to think that our bitter enemy that thinks we should be under the thumb of the king's rule or the queen's rule, whichever it was, under the crown's rule. We were just a bunch of rebels. How dare we stand up for ourselves? So we went ahead and somehow, I'll gloss over this part, somehow we made this deal and thought it'd be okay to make this deal through the crown, or through this corporation that's supported by the crown. Oh, by the way, a little secret. The crown backed the South in the Civil War. Just, keep that between you and me. But it's been fighting us in different ways throughout all this time. I say this a number of times. The Revolutionary War never stopped. We have never been out of it. It just changed. Let's see. I wanted to make a point, but I kind of went off on a side tangent there. Damn. All right. The original thing about this was the crash of the economy. Now, with the crash that will come, if we have some kind of structure in place, we will get through it, and we will come out better for it on the other side. If we don't have this structure in place, well, just like a house without the 2x4s, the studs, it'll crumble. So it is in everyone's best interest to look into the National Assembly. I mean, it's either the National Assembly or it's basically, I got to go out and get something to eat. Give me my rifle. Make sure it's loaded. You know, I cleaned it last night. It's ready to go. Now, when I leave, cover me from the window at least until I get over the hill, and then close up all the windows. You know, I'm talking like fear-based living. And welcome, Sean Stryker. There he is. Hey,
how's the audio, Vex?
Sounds good.
Yeah, I finally got the battery cradle at the bottom of the phone with the mic and speaker replaced, and lo and behold, it works.
Nice.
So I'm going to do a little shopping in the mall, and then I will be more participatory in your panels. So listening in. I yield.
Thank you very much. Well, let's see. As far as what tonight's broadcast is about, I mainly want everybody to get in this different frame of mind, this different way of thinking, to the point of you will need to be on your toes and know what's going to happen before it's going to happen. I know, big tall order there. Hey, Nate, good to see you. But you'll have to think ahead. This is going to be crucial, because if you don't think ahead, you'll starve or end up getting shot, or whatever myriad of things that could happen. Hey, Sean, were you wanting to just hang in the back for right now, or wanting to come on?
Yeah, if you want to keep me in the back, I'll let you know when I'm done with the shopping trip, so the noise from the mall and the store doesn't interfere. But with everyone else's Wi-Fi and stuff around here, I guess it cut the signal. So yeah, let me put my icon up, and I'll mute my microphone too.
Right on. All right, let's see. I think I can pull you down from the screen. Yeah, okay. Got you backstage. But a different frame of mind. I mean, people can, think about movies and stuff like that. The Road Warrior and all those types of movies. I mean, they get some things right, they get some things wrong, but if you think about how they had to live day to day, it's not that different from. Well, essentially, what I want everybody to get involved with is essentially the way keeps the is the way the Old West was structured. Think about it in that regard. I mean, sure, it wasn't perfect. There was a lot of things that happened back then that was just kind of heinous and all kinds of weird stuff. But the structure itself was the people in charge. I mean, they didn't allow people from outside to tell them what to do. I mean, sure, it was kind of unfriendly at times, but you know what? Those people took care of each other. And generally, their communities will thrive. Hey, Scrimshaw, welcome.
Hiya, Vex. Can you hear me?
Hey. Yes, ma'am.
Okie dokie. Yeah, I had to go fix my my sound thing. Every once in a while, I have to reboot. Go ahead, continue what you were saying. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No problem. Well, one of the things I was wanting to make a point of is the sense of community that was back in the old West. Like I said, sure, there was bad things that happened, good things that happened too, but there was a structure. And if it was needed, say like there's a criminal giving people a hard time, they could put together a posse and take care of it. I mean, just something real simple like that. And hey, Carolyn, good to see you. And it was taken care of. They dealt with it, and it was over. Simple as that. I mean, simple is best. It really is. I mean, think about how complicated our lives have gotten in just the past few years. I mean, it is, but it's still, has gotten so complicated. I mean, this interconnectivity was supposed to be, the best thing ever. I mean, it was supposed to improve our lives so much. What has it done? It has totally ruined our lives. It has almost completely brought our nation to its knees. Just because of a bunch of globalists wanting to, put this evil plan into action. Now, fortunately for us, they have to follow certain rules, because if they get outside those rules, we can essentially spank them for it and get to them. So they have to follow these rules. They have to stay within them. Or a lot of us have experienced, may not experienced, but have seen them do, is change the laws that they had to follow, or find a specific way of getting around the law, finding the loopholes and all that stuff. I mean, hell, you know as well as I do, everyone, that most of our politicians and these bad people are freaking lawyers. So they're going to, of course, lawyer the hell out of us. And that's what they've been doing. I mean, hell, they've gotten it to the point where you can't even drive a vehicle unless you pay their ransom. Well, that's a right. Free travel. I mean, that's one of our rights. Why do we have to get permission to go somewhere? Yeah, I kind of went off on a tangent there.
Yeah, well, they're lawyers and not men and women on the land in the United States. They are foreign agents.
Exactly that.
They
Maritime law.
pledge their fidelity to the Queen, and therefore they have no obligation to the citizenry. And,
exactly that.
It's unfortunate, but that's what's messing things up. So you get this company who is not working for us, and they want to make a profit and play tiddlywinks, as I call it. And so they've got to write so many laws that I don't think anybody can really keep up with all those laws. And it just complicates things, whereas if you had common law, it'd be a heck of a lot easier to figure out if you've done something wrong or not. It's very simple.
Common law is common sense.
Yeah, but basically, in a nutshell, as long as you don't hurt anybody or trespass on anybody, you haven't broken any law. So,
no victim, no crime.
So all this falderall and balderdash, or whatever you want to call it, complicated stuff that's going on, like all these trials that's happening and all these mandates, which in my mind aren't really laws, they're just foolish orders from someone who really doesn't have any right to, quote unquote, make laws. That's up to we the people.
Wrong, but I don't remember getting a vote on any of this.
Nope.
So,
No, and I don't recall Congress voting on it either. It's just
right.
out of the blue nonsense.
Survival.
Hi, Survival. Nice to see everybody in chat. So, I'm not trying to usurp your conversation, Vex, but I just think we're at the point where we need to go back to simplicity.
Oh, absolutely. That's kind of along the lines of where I was going with this anyway.
Yeah, it's too complicated. And then when you get into it being so complicated, they're just at the point where they're so our government and lawyers and all that. They've made everything so complicated, and now they just want to do whatever the heck they want and follow no rules. So,
well, I still think they are following rules. It's just they've been written so many times they know how to navigate them.
No, I think they're breaking their own rules at this point.
Vex, really most definitely. Do. Some of them are, most definitely. But they, for the most part, lawyered their way into loopholes and all this other stuff that they can exploit. Which now they've gotten to the point where they've got the media locked down and all that stuff, so they feel comfortable enough to just keep breaking rules. Yeah, so you're right. You're right.
Well, I look at one of the trials that's been going on, and some of the evidence was deemed as inadmissible, yet there was an insistence of the prosecutor to keep going on with it and using that evidence, which was deemed inadmissible. So, they can't follow their own rules and win the game. They got to cheat.
Well, no. Yeah, they have to basically go on emotions and stuff like that. They don't have anything emotional, say like in the Rittenhouse case. They don't have anything to go on. Yeah. I mean, they don't have anything. They have nothing but emotion. I mean, he's supposed to be labeled as a racist, but all the people he shot was white. So, racist against whites? Wait a minute. I thought we weren't allowed to be that.
Well,
I don't know.
It's
I don't remember all the rules.
I didn't watch any of the mainstream stuff as far as commentary goes, and I really don't care to.
I just basically picked up on the highlights like on news radio, but other than that, I haven't watched a damn bit of it because I already know what's going to happen.
I watched on a couple of different channels, and one channel had commentary by a bunch of lawyers, which I found very interesting, and they were all saying object, 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 because the defense wasn't objecting enough, they thought, and so on and so forth. But yeah, some of the evidence that the prosecution was using, really was just railroad. I think this is a political railroad rather than.
Oh yeah, it was supposed to be a complete shit show. Welcome, Rob.
Hey man, how's it going? I just wanted to pop up. You're listening in. I'll put my 2 cents in. I'm gonna meet mic up.
Howdy, Survival.
Hey Rose. Hey Scrimshaw Rose. Good to see you.
Nice to see you too. What up?
Well, what's on the agenda tonight, man? Vex?
Well, for the most part, we're talking about what the future may hold, and currently we're talking about the House case just a little bit, touching on it and how ridiculous everything is. I mean, it shouldn't be there in the first place, obviously, but since they got him there, they wanted to make it a big shit show and basically paint him as this big old white supremacist, racist, blah 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 blah-ist, and essentially turn him into this, poster boy for, Joe Sixpack of the United States. He was supposed to be a big poster boy for us. And when he gets, thrown in the slammer for murdering 2 people and injuring another then he can rot in prison, and they can use that as an excuse to basically round us all up because we just proved that we don't deserve any rights, that type of thing. And
Dude,
it's blowing up in their face because the emotion is basically what they're basing all this on. Go ahead.
It really is blowing up. And do you know? I think you probably have mutual friends with it, at least the Hood Conservative or Trady NBD. You know those guys' names at all?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they covered a little bit of that today, and what was strange is that there was a lot of people in the urban community that thought that Kyle Rittenhouse had murdered people of color.
Yeah, I know.
They had no idea. So where are they getting their information from is what I'm wondering. Because they really thought that Kyle was out there killing. They thought he was a white supremacist out there killing black people. That's what these people think.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the way it was portrayed in the news. I mean, quite frankly, most of the stuff that I know from what happened in the incident was basically people who were live streaming and caught video footage. So I was kind of watching it when it happened. So I knew what happened already, of course, but all the coverage of it was essentially them just going, "Oh, this white kid with a gun just went murdering everybody," and and the cop didn't, and they were so jacked up about that. Yes. So yeah, it was a big bullshit thing that they kept pushing narrative, and that's what people started to read till this trial kicks off, and they're starting to watch what's happening with the trial, and they're paying attention to it, which is good, which is very good. But they're paying attention to what's going on, and they're going, "Wait a minute, this kid didn't do nothing wrong," and everybody's learning that right now. Everybody is. That's why they're going for a mistrial.
You think it's a big red pill for a lot of people?
Oh, you damn right. Because they're seeing it live time, and they want so badly for the other house kid to be just strung up. They want to behead him in the courtroom. They want the worst possible thing for him. They want it so badly, but their case is so shit, and this just goes to prove that these people don't know what the hell they're doing. Well, back, Sean. Are you back on the panel, or?
I will be for a few. I'm going to go get some energy drinks, which I know you guys all hate me doing, but then you'll love me later in about 30 minutes.
That's okay.
What I was going to tell you, the Rittenhouse case is a perfect example of the common law stuff that, Scrimshaw referenced. No victim, no crime, no trespass, no crime. Well, Mr. Rittenhouse was not trespassing nor crossing state lines, but what he was doing was keeping people from losing their property, becoming victims. And that's what they wanted. They wanted victims. Since they couldn't make Rittenhouse a victim, they're going to make their own mobs into the victims. Oh, poor me, I lost, part of my bicep. Oh, poor me, I hit you with a skateboard and you shot me. Oh, poor me, I'm chasing you down and I'm a 5-time child abuser. They love the victim name. But Rittenhouse, he wasn't willing to be a victim, and that's the biggest crime. They don't want, they want us all to be victimized, and some of us say no. I yield.
Well,
Scripture?
In my opinion, that young man, his life was threatened verbally, and he had every right to defend himself. And his life was also threatened with a gun. And he was also slammed with a skateboard. He was on the ground. There was two places where he had that kind of conflict. And one of them, he was on the ground. And this prosecutor, I think it's a similar situation to another case that I know of, and that I think that he wants to be elected to some position, so he's got to win this case. And basically, he basically brutalized the witnesses. He was a bully, and so was his partner that was working with him. And the defense was not objecting, which I thought was crazy.
Good. Give me a second. I'm gonna have to do a little different tonight.
Well, I wanted to
Okay,
jump on a little bit of what Scrimshaw was saying too, just to hop on the. Sorry if I'm interrupting.
Mute my microphone here.
Yeah, John's kind of free there. Go ahead, Survival.
What Rose was saying about how he was attacked, especially when he was on the ground. You know that he fell down on his own after the initial attack by the red-haired kid, the red-haired man, or the bald red-haired kid, whatever. He was running down the road and he fell on his own, and he was kicked in the face by a guy, and that guy was never harmed at all. And he happened to be a person of color. But yet there's these, and the only people that were harmed at all was Kyle and the other 3 white guys. And so I don't understand why it's a racial thing. The only guy that got away with a good lick on Kyle was a black dude, and he kicked him right in his face.
It's a title that was laid on him when it happened.
Well, he was threatened verbally by the white man. Excuse me, I'm sorry, Vix. I didn't mean to step on you.
No, that's fine. You're dead on. He was verbally threatened several times.
Basically, the sentiment was, if I see you alone, I'm going to kill you. That's it. If I get you alone, I'm going to kill you.
I'm just wondering why it's being twisted into a racial issue, because it should not be a racial issue in any way.
Because they need this to promote racism is basically it. They need this to keep the bullshit going on. Pardon my language.
No problem.
They need this to keep the narrative going.
You notice? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
That's how they're keeping this, talk of racism going. And it wasn't racist at all.
You notice when they were covering it, the news, just do that in air quotes. When they were covering it and talking about it, they didn't show any examples. Of course, that's standard practice. You don't actually show what happened because what happened is not what you're describing. So don't give any illustrations except maybe a still image or something like that. I believe I saw a still image on and it was like a video, and I had a still image for the thumb icon, and it was basically of that part where the black guy was standing close to him. It looked like he was in mid-movement, but that must have been when he ran up and kicked him. I don't know if it was before or after.
He kicked him right in the head. He kicked him right in the head and ran off. And
the image of that made it okay to say he's a racist, because that still image by itself, I had seen a couple other times that news broadcasts were using. But they use that basically as the excuse to put the title of racist.
That's a real weak prosecution, in my opinion.
Well, the defense is much better. The defense could have already closed the case out. The defense isn't doing much better. They could have closed it out, but the defense didn't fire the head of security is the one controlling Rittenhouse's money. So he decided to let go of Robert Barnes and all the A-level lawyers who actually would have sliced this up. Someone pointed out earlier today, for example, for the defense part, you bring in a firearms expert who explains, how you do the different procedures, how you clear the jam, et cetera, how, you don't flag people with your muzzle, and how he shot, anyone he shot, he didn't shoot any bystanders, et cetera. They didn't use, their defense is basically like just lawyers who don't know anything, but they're just asking generic questions, when you could have actually brought in an expert and cleared the floor of the prosecution real easy. Like that's one of the big glaring flaws they've done so far. I almost wonder if the defense is in the tank, and this judge, he is a Democrat, so he may be acting mad right now, but we never know how he'll flip the script.
Yeah.
It's our thing,
That's one of the things I thought about too. I mean, everybody was saying, "Well, this guy's doing this." I mean, talking about the judge, and I'm just like, "Yeah, so." I mean, he could just flip on a dime. He was. Everybody was saying he's a Democrat and he's doing all this and doing that, and I'm like, "Well, that's great, but he's still a Democrat, and he is a de facto judge from the British Accredited Registry."
The judges and all those crown types, they've been wanting to get firearms out of the hands of youths so that they don't have a tradition of knowing how to handle their firearms. If people forget how to do that, then they're never going to be able not only to go hunting, they're just going to be willy-nilly when it comes to those situations, which means more casualties in the future versus the loss of life of suspects.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to ask real quick to everybody is, what do we think about the judge? Is he following along the rules and staying within them, or is he actually play acting? Just going through the motions,
flighty,
making it look good.
Yeah, he seems flighty to me. That's why most judges I know, when someone who's prosecuting is screwing up, they don't take a kind of like a... He seems goofy the way he's rebuking the prosecutor. Most judges are very stern. I've known a LDS bishop I was under, Dolph Rome. He was a big judge here in Riverside, for example. Very stern demeanor when it comes to anything he had to make a decision about. Outside, yeah, he's nice, but he still conducts himself not with arrogance or hubris, but with what they call gravitas. Like if he's going to give you an opinion about that type of stuff, whether it's life advice as a bishop or legal advice, when it came to the court cases that I had out here, he's very stern and like very firm in what he had to say.
May I?
Yeah, go ahead, Scrimshaw.
Go ahead, Scrimshaw.
Well, my observation, I've been watching a lot of this trial. My observation is he allowed the prosecution to go forth with using evidence that was invalidated. It was declared inadmissible, and then about the last thing I saw today, they had somebody come in and play around with that particular video clip. And it was worse. You couldn't see anybody really in it. I mean, you could see figures, but there was no definition, so you couldn't tell exactly. If you didn't know who was who, you would not know who was who in that video. There was no faces. You couldn't see some colors of like people's clothing or any identifiable thing. And he sat there watching it. And it seemed like he let that be admissible. And I just think it's not right. If it was deemed inadmissible, it should have been kept inadmissible. So, I think that there's some funny stuff going on. I'm sorry. I'm not comfortable with that judge at all.
If I may, we know the judges tend to have... Yeah,
hold on.
We know the judges tend... Go ahead.
Hold on real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Survival, what do you think about the judge as far as what you know about him?
I've only watched maybe 4 or 5 hours of the entire trial over the last, 9 or 10 days. What are we at? What day is it at now? I've only watched 4 or 5. I've seen recaps. I mean, as far as into the trial, I think we're at day 9 or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But
I'll take your word for it. I don't know. I don't remember when it started.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've only had time. I mean, I work all during the week, but I try to get the recaps and stuff. But I did see that Binger guy get just slapped in the face a couple of times live. I watched it live. The prosecution attorney, Binger, he got just straight slapped in the face or spanked on the ass by the judge for having some really stupid shit. I agree with. Right? Yeah. And Scrimshaw is saying, like, why isn't the defense, calling for conjecture or or anything like that. And I agree, because I see that kind of thing going on. I'm like, where is his defense right now? Like, why are they conjecturing this motherfucker? Because he's up there just badgering the whole time. He's like, so that was a lie. And he's like, why did you lie to them? And it's just weak shit, dude. It just seems real weak. And I'm hoping that the jury is seeing how weak and petty this guy is. And I hope they don't have the same mindset that he does, because if they do, if they're so petty like this guy, where he's gonna like try to pick apart some minuscule detail and be like, why did you lie about that? It's because that's what he's been doing the whole time. It's just gross.
Today or the other day?
But then, as far as the judge, I will say what I'm hoping for. I hope that judge at his age, I hope that he's more of like a JFK Democrat, where he actually cares about, his country, and he's really doing his job. I just want to believe in that, and then I will yield. That's what my thoughts.
Thank you. Yeah, that's good points.
It says 38, Department 20, though. So whoever Amazon was, they screwed up. Here, hold this one for a second. Yeah, it's the same name.
Oh, he's talking to somebody else. I was wondering.
He's talking at work, yeah.
Groceries, I just came home. I have them in front of the door.
But
from what I've gathered, it's been one of those things where I'm just from the outside looking in, because hey, common sense, common law, good to see you. My take is essentially that this is a big show, and they're going to do their best to, in the end, set an example of this kid, the Kenosha Kid. It will go down in history, but they're going to do their damnedest to hang him out to dry.
Yep.
Now, I have learned in my recent studies and essentially going into courts myself, that they will do everything they can to mess you up, to trick you. This is their job. Their job is to make sure you pay in some way. All right, Scrimshaw, go ahead.
Yeah, well, what was I gonna say? I almost lost the thought. I'm very concerned because, one of the jurors, maybe all of them, got doxxed because people were taking photographs of them getting on the bus.
Right.
So, you're in danger of having jury intimidation. And then on the other hand, them being possibly unfamiliar with some of the laws concerning guns and other stuff. You get blatant, as far as I'm concerned, misrepresentation by of certain things by the defense, not the defense, the prosecutor. I'm concerned that they're not going to have the proper information to make a proper decision anyway. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes. Yeah.
No, that's been my view of all this. Thank you very much. That's been my view wholeheartedly on all this from the beginning. Excuse me. From the beginning, it's been me just sitting here going, "Whew, what's the show going to be today?" Unfortunately, this kid's in a predicament. I keep forgetting his first name.
Kyle.
That's right. Yeah. This poor kid. I feel for him. I really do. But they're going to try their damnedest to make an example of him. I mean, it sounds great now, and everybody who is looking at the surface of this trial is sitting there going, woohoo, woohoo. But like I said, they're going to go for a mistrial. And my understanding is that a mistrial will screw some shit up.
Yeah.
Now,
well, you saw what they did with Chauvin, and they didn't do mistrial with that. But if they do mistrial Kyle, it's going to strengthen the prosecution.
Yeah. Now, see, I'm not too well versed. I'm not too well versed in this particular part of it, as far as what a mistrial would mean. So maybe you guys could fill me in a little bit.
Well, I'm not too sure about the mistrial, but it could be dismissed and that's dismissed with something, and I can't remember what the something is, but that means they can't try him again, I think, if they dismiss it with that, whatever the heck it was. Now, I don't know about if they have a mistrial. They'll probably have to have another trial. That's the thing about it. He'll have to go through it all over again, and Lord knows if he's going to have to stay in jail. So, I feel horrible for that kid.
May I?
Thank you, good Nate. Go ahead.
To pull this
Go ahead,
out,
Sean.
they would need a mistrial with prejudice or extreme prejudice. Otherwise, they might try to pull the civil trial next. You've always seen these big celebrity trials and stuff where the celebrity gets off of the criminal charge, but then the family sues them for money, puts them in the poorhouse, and naturally that's where the family makes their money back. I believe that was the O.J. Simpson case, for example.
Yep.
That's a good pattern to look at.
Well, that young man needs to be supported by everybody somehow. Good God.
Now, we know how much they've been... Go ahead.
Notice the prosecution's trying to muddy the water with that footage. I was talking with the neighbors and dealing with a package delivery to the wrong address for a few moments there. I would have tripped up. The muddying of the waters regarding that footage, Drew Hernandez filmed a body camera and I guess a cell phone camera, right? The black and white footage of the body camera. What he does is he ran a edited stream, putting the two things in a timely order, so people could see A to B to C. The prosecution's trying to muddy the waters by implying the footage is doctored or it's not how it's supposed to be, et cetera, et cetera. And that's where the prosecution should have had that. There should have been objections left and right on that. Instead, there's been no objections. It's one of the reasons why I think this defense is in the tank.
May I? I believe that the initial black and white that came out on that was the beginning of the filming of the particular gizmo he used to film that. Would come out black and white before it started getting into it. Okay. And what he did was he synced he did not edit anything. He synced the videos. And I was watching our friend Alex, JJ, and he was saying it was definitely synced. It was not edited in any manner, whereas the video that was shown at the end that was inadmissible was played around with. So this is what you got. And basically the young man that had the body cam and the camera, they were two different devices, and the prosecutor was trying to muddy the waters desperately on that, because earlier he came out looking pretty bad. I yield.
That's what I heard.
Scrimshaw, it really does look weak. The prosecution looks weak, but I wonder about what the public thinks, because I know how all of us in this chat right now, I know how we all think, but I'm scared for this child or this kid, this young man, with the public opinion and the jury being threatened. And it's scary to me. And I also have to say that I got to get going here too. So I'm gonna dip out, but I'll leave you guys with that. But it was good hanging out with all of you.
But survival. But survival.
I'll hang out for just a little bit longer.
But survival, where are we going to find hippos and pink tutus at this hour?
Oh,
never
me, dude. You won't find no more me's around here.
I was going to say, never assume you know how everybody thinks, because the second you do, I'll pull up Pinky in the Brain on you, bro.
Oh, no, I wasn't assuming. Well, okay. Well, I just think that I thought maybe we all thought that Kyle was a good kid, was doing what was right. But I got to get going, guys. But it was good hanging out with all of you.
Well, thanks for hanging out with us.
Bible. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah. I'll see you guys all again. Right on, guys.
Take
Later.
care.
You too. Later.
May I? I
Go
don't
ahead.
know if the jury has been harmed, but with people photographing them, and then who knows whose identification has come out. That it's a possibility that something could happen with that, and I don't like that at all. I don't think it's right for people to do that, and it's not good. And also, you got problems where judges in the past who have made a decision that one of the other side didn't like or something. I mean, they've had issues with people doxing them or threatening them and stuff too. So you don't know what this fella's gonna do. That's the judge now.
Right.
I have
I
firsthand knowledge. There was thank you, if I may. I have firsthand knowledge of. I was telling God's Night the other night, and JT, she was with. We were up in Discord just chatting late night, and I referenced a case where I knew of a person in Lucha who had to do a favor for a gang member or whatever, and they found the. I cite this all the time regarding judges. They found the safe that was buried, brought it and left it. I guess it was a warehouse or a parking lot or whatever. They left it in the prescribed location. Whatever was in that safe, all we know is that when that gang member got a hold of that safe, in a few days, the judge dropped charges. So the judges out there are compromised to the extent that somebody can have the blackmail on them ahead of time.
Yes.
They are barred. They are likely Masonic, and that means they probably have dirt on them. And this judge acting fruity kind of tells me he's fruity. And I don't mean that like he likes tricks for his breakfast. He likes tricks for other type of meals. I'll leave it at that.
These are for kids. Ugh.
Don't go down that rabbit hole, please.
You started the analogy.
I'm very concerned though about this trial being a fair trial. I don't think at this point.
It's not a fair trial at this point.
I think it's been predetermined, essentially. The only thing that wasn't predetermined was the actual, questioning back and forth, because we can see how much they've screwed the pooch on that.
Well,
they thought they was going to be able to get everybody riled up and emotional, and the judge just, well, go ahead, please.
I forgot what I was going to say, Vex. Go ahead.
If I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, one thing you guys have to also look at, and again, I'm looking at things from, the footage from in the courthouse. I'm also looking at things from outside the courthouse. I'm looking at things, when we look at our bigger, grander conspiracies, or, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a conspiracy realist. The guy with the blown out bicep that's there on the stand playing victim, he had a Glock. He had a Glock. So did one of the other people involved that night. Glocks are usually preferred by the FBI and upper level law enforcement. This wasn't like a Smith & Wesson. This wasn't a MAC-10. It wasn't an AK-47. It wasn't a Scorpion. It was a Glock. Now, if you're a felon in possession of a firearm under the rules that these lawyers are supposed to enforce with the law enforcement, and you have violated you're a felon, you violated the term.
Robot.
We lost your sound.
Yeah. He'll fade back in here in a sec. Well, I have to put an argument to what he's saying, at least a little bit. Glocks are really, really popular, and normal people have them. Lots of them. Me personally, I have it. Oh, Sean, you went out for a minute.
Oh, sorry about that. I was asking, why is this guy getting a pass?
Oh, there he goes again.
Why does he get a pass? I think if it was
mic check.
Yeah, we hear you. You faded again.
Okay. Did you get the rhetorical question?
No, I just got the pass, and that was it.
Okay. The guy is getting a pass for being a felon in possession of a Glock, which is usually a government issue or FBI Fed type issue weapon. That guy with a blown out bicep is covering for someone above him. I yield.
It makes sense. I was just saying that way you faded out that in carrying say side of it, Glock's very popular. I could have just as easily had a Glock. I mean, everybody. I mean, Glock's got really, really popular once the name started to pop, essentially. So, as far as him having a Glock, no big, kind of circumstantial. But the circumstances overall do put question to it. I mean, do we know where the gun is? Do we know what it's? Do we know where what the serial numbers are? I mean, these are inquiring minds, and inquiring minds want to know.
And why was a felon with a firearm not arrested? Because when you have like a gang shooting or gang shootout, they arrest both participants.
Yeah.
Bicep boy was not arrested.
Well, nobody was arrested that night.
Yeah, kind of weird,
it didn't appear he was arrested at all.
Yeah, the cops were standing there watching it happen.
Yeah.
I mean, for fuck's sake.
Why aren't the cops brought? If I may, why aren't the cops being used as witnesses? I'm sure one of their dash cams might have caught some of it.
Their body cams, since they were all standing there in a line, there's a whole chorus line of freaking body cams and stuff like that pointing down the street at what happened because they were watching. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of questions going on. So think about this. They got this trial and none of this has happened yet, right? No cops have been brought in to talk about it, right?
Correct.
Like I said, I haven't been paying attention, so I don't know for sure.
Nope, not one cop as a witness that I've seen thus far, but I haven't watched a lot of the beginning. I didn't watch. I've lost for the last 2-3 days. So,
question real quick. Was Kyle arrested?
I believe he was booked and given a bond and his own recognizance, that sort of thing, because they did have to raise money for him. It wasn't just for his defense.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but in trials that I'm accustomed to, whenever a cop is in the vicinity, they're required to come in and testify.
Correct.
Now, have I got that wrong in any way?
Not that I know of.
They are usually called as a witness if they are the officer on the scene. And what is the other gimmick? Or you have to request them to be a witness, which again, why would the defense not the defense knows there's camera footage from the police. Why would they not ask for it?
Exactly.
There's a big stink going on behind the scenes there. I smell it. Remember, Kyle is shooting really good. He shoots better than I would have. Then again, I was a pizza box. I admit it. But he shoots better than I would have shot.
Yeah, well, I noticed that too.
I mean, I'm amazed that some of them people did not get arrested that were smashing up them cars and stuff. There's plenty of footage of people standing on top of cars, smashing the hell out of them, breaking all the windows and stuff. Apparently they were lighting fires on them too. I seen some that were burned out.
Think about this also, when this was happening and what was happening at the time.
Hello.
You're going a little robotic there.
Robot.
Hi, Missouri one.
What's going on?
Hey, Hayden. Rittenhouse debating it, how great of a red pill it is, and how the fix might be in from the court and the police.
Yeah, because Kyle tried to turn himself in to the police right then and there, and they wouldn't accept it. So
All I heard is how great of a red pill it would be to.
If I may,
You-
Hayden, you sound
You're-
really washed out and overlapped with Scrimshaw. So check your audio for a second.
yeah,
Make sure you
could
got
you
a
turn it
connection,
up,
brother.
please? I'm gonna mute myself for a minute. Maybe that'll help.
Yeah, go ahead and say what you said again, Missouri 1. Yeah, done mute. Oh, I guess you might be trying something. Now I wish
Yeah,
I
he
would.
sounded like a. If I
Go
may,
ahead.
Vex, he sounded like a wind tunnel, like when I'm on my golf cart.
Yeah, it was really low for me. I wish I remember what I was going to say right before that, but now I don't. Oh, something along the lines of all the cops that were there. I mean, during this time, there was all the riots and there was cops everywhere watching all this happening. They were ordered to stand down. Then you have to realize that these cops that were there are already the ones that have been put in place. These are all new breeds. They're all the old ones have been basically drummed out by this time. These are all Kenosha is for the most part occupied territory.
Yeah.
And so all these cops that were, the guys that wanted to actually make a difference and help out their communities and stuff like that have been drummed out. So what we got left over is the police academy pukes that, if you've listened to my past streams, all the schools have been taken over long ago so that they could control the education of all their mutts, all their drones, and includes police academies also. So we already know that they occupy the lawyers, the hospitals, all the doctors and technicians, the police, the judges. I'm missing it. Politicians. They're everywhere. Now, look at this case again. Now, this tells me that this kid doesn't have a damn snowball's chance in hell. Because right now he is in the very center of the de facto swamp. And he ain't got nothing but some fucking arm floaties on.
If I may.
Go ahead.
Also, let me put this out there as it's kind of a red pill. You have to read the bill to know what's in the bill. Go look up the in-depth parts of the Affordable Care Act regarding infrastructure and responses to different things. You notice how all the stuff for the COOF is out and about? That's because it was already placed up in the back pages of the Affordable Care Act, guys. So law enforcement phasing, just like when they started phasing people out in 2012, what have you, when Obama purged the 70 senior flag officers. Same deal. They are, like Vex is saying, they have purged the ranks, and worse, the resources to back up the newbies are more than likely already in place. When something federal gets damaged, they're there to save it. But if it's something private, like a car lot or your home, good luck.
Unless you have an alarm system with a private security or something like that. But, everybody knows everybody can afford that stuff. But
yeah, it's kind of funny how that works out.
Hey, I heard you.
I was having a ton of audio and mic issues and all sorts of things. But I'm back.
It's okay, Hayden. The chat loves you just the same. Don't we, chat? Give us a 1 if you love Hayden.
But you're still coming in
I'm
really
not seeing
soft
any-
for me.
I'm not seeing any ones. What's up with the chat? Come on, guys. Hayden. No? Oh, man. Bro, it looks like you're going to have to work heel tonight. Vex gave you one. At least Vex loves you. There you go. I'm not in the YouTube at the moment, or I'd give you an 11.
Well,
it
that's
goes
not
to
a
11.
1.
No, 11's 2 ones, but it goes to 11.
No, an 11
But
is
it
11.
equals-
That's why you call it an 11.
But 1 and 1
It's
make
11.
2, so then it's.
Don't go binary on me. I hate binary. I hate anything binary.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, okay,
Anyway.
enough humor. Let's get back on point, right?
Yes. Now,
Sometimes we need that.
the de facto, it is within the de facto. There is no part of the way in, part of the way out. Once you enter, you are on their territory. Now, I don't know if everybody will understand exactly what I'm saying, but give it a shot. Now, as far as this goes, when you enter into the de facto, you go in under their rules. And under their rules, you are not a living soul. You are a person, which is essentially, I wish I had that memorized, what their
Legal
definition
fiction.
of a person is.
Just shorten it. Legal fiction.
Yeah, legal fiction.
Or the straw man. Everybody loves to
Thank
say the straw man. That's easy. But remember, guys, the straw man gets burned. So don't go into the de facto unless you're willing to get burned. See?
Yes.
It worked. You know what the
There
Tin
you
Man
go.
is? Tax identification number. That's your Tin Man. And I forget what the lion is off the top of my head. The lion's another. Oh, yeah, the cowardly lion. I believe that's a reference to the military. All bark, but not standing up for people. Wizard of Oz, Gold Brick Road. There's a whole analogy you can find about all of that relating to the Federal Reserve and everything. I yield.
Hey, Cybertoxin. Good to see you. And that's for you, Sean. What's up on the screen?
Yeah.
Hi, Cybertoxin.
He's speaking to me in binary, I see. Good thing I never learned that.
With some salt.
I barely even speak.
Yeah. Well, it's true. It's true. It looks, it doesn't look good, especially where, you've had the purging and you don't know if somebody's in there actually staying quiet as far as police is concerned, but that's not really going to affect the trial if they don't bring any in. I'm not sure if they did at the beginning. And,
Well, there could
you
be
know-
reasons to why, but essentially it just struck me as weird that no cops have been called to testify. Go ahead.
normally that should happen
Correct.
in any trial. Yeah, that's bizarre. Yeah,
And
there.
normally,
Go ahead, Sean.
if I may, Scrimshaw, this is a big deal. Normally, when we have a felon, committing crimes with a firearm, if he gets hurt during that, the cops don't care that he gets hurt. They want that dude back in jail versus letting this guy be a star witness and get well, we all know Kamala's people were paying, the bail for some of these folks on the back end. I'm wondering if he's one of those beneficiaries.
I don't know.
There has to be a bunch of. I mean, think about this. Like I was saying, there is a clear line. I mean, I guess it's not too clear because most people don't understand it, but there is a definite line, very, very defined between de jure and de facto. Now, de jure is, to put it plainly, of we the people, for we the people, by we the people. That means that we self-govern. When you enter into the de facto, all the rules change. Now, the difference between those rules are, our rules in the de jure are easy to follow because it's common sense, common law. Threw your name in there. And essentially, the difference, you need a lawyer to interpret their legalese. Where the de jure, you're supposed to stand up for yourself. And it's not hard to stand up for yourself because the rules are easy to follow. Did you hurt this person? Yes or no? Okay, let's find out. If you say yes, then okay, we need to find a way for you to, make it right. Now, I'm oversimplifying, of course, but this is essentially how it's supposed to work out. Now, if they can't come to an agreement, what do? Well, you call the sheriff because he's the law in the county. And the sheriff comes and says, what's the problem? You explain the problem between the three of you. And if you can't come up with a solution, then the sheriff will offer one or try to. And if that doesn't work, then he brings it to the assembly. And there's a bunch of more people and come up with the appropriate way to resolve it. That's how it works. Right? That's simply how it works.
No, it's a lot.
If I may,
Yeah, go ahead.
if one is so inclined by going to the assembly in a matter of over $20, your Seventh Amendment, folks, never forget it, even in the de facto. If it's over $20, you have a right to a grand jury trial. If, say, these two people that need the sheriff, they're bickering over a house deal that went wrong. Someone was going to, I'll give you a parcel of land and a house if you worked for me for 2 years, and the guy worked for 2 years and he didn't get his payout. Then he could say, hey, you know what, grand jury, I need you guys to investigate our case. It's over $20 of value. And they would be like, well, this guy, da-da-da. And then they find out maybe on the back end, he was lying and he only worked for a year and, say, 11 months. He stiffed his employer of that last month of harvest. Get this, if he had another home at that time, that grand jury was allowed to go to find that dude's home and burn the original home to the ground. So that because he brought false claims to people. They did not take, in common law, bearing false witness. That's in the Ten Commandments. That's been an old rule. And part of our culture has been that we have gotten accustomed to lying. Not just a matter of when I like to quote to people, their word is their bond. We as a culture love our lies. And it's part of what's become pervasive in these courts is that they will lie and present it as its truth with wording. And then you have to accept it because of the wording, not because of the facts. Right. That's the de facto, guys, is that they tell you you're a dead body. In reality, you're a man or woman living on the soil. But for administrative purposes, they need to create a fiction out of you to guarantee that they have some type of redress in terms of financial matters, which is nuts. We did not agree to this. The 13th Amendment should have kept certain parties out of the country. The War of 1812 combined with the Civil War, Organic Act 1871, allowed those parties back into the country, thanks to a certain bar president, amongst other things. And as he had a bonus, yes, the first ever bar member to hold a presidential office. Seems we can't get rid of them ever since. But, let's move it forward. That Organic Act 1871 with the Libra Code on top of it, folks, it's a legal cluster. But on top of it being a cluster, we the people were not educated about it after Roosevelt was in office. And before that point, the United States Army, all those veterans, the war with Spain, the war with Mexico, the Civil War veterans, etc., they knew the history and legacy of this country and what the difference of the different branches were and what their civic obligations and duties were. And we can thank Roosevelt with this New Deal for wiping away history and this knowledge. And now we have a Green New Deal, and they want to wipe away history and knowledge yet again. That's very substantial. If they erase the history we have right now and they lie about it, people will never be able to find a return to the Constitution or to remedy again because they will not have the source material. So when Vex and Scrimshaw and myself, are stressing you guys about getting into the assembly, it is time relevant because it's a day-to-day issue of whether they scrub something off the internet or whether they don't. I'll follow up on that later. I don't want to hog the floor. I yield.
I'll add to it. I mean, that's one of the things that concerned me a while back. Also, whenever I started this broadcast earlier, I was explaining that I started out talking to Chase the Patriot about these things. I'd call into a show and tell him about how the skeletal structure of the economy is on its last leg and it can be collapsed almost at will. And this is how I led into all this, because all this is time sensitive. It really is. I can't really convey the urgency I feel. It's going to be, I mean, I led into this also. It's going to be tough times coming up in the near future. Remember how everybody was throwing around the worst winter? Well, I'll just leave that right there and let you guys look at that for a minute.
It snowed today.
Yes, little flurries. I might have to write a song called Dark Winter. That sounds like a good title.
There might even be an industrial track or two called that in hindsight. I have to find out what group it was.
Could even be biblical.
Or all of the above.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Susanna. Good to see you. Sorry, I saw you were live, but I've had plans to go live, or else I would have been there.
I want to posit something with what I'm saying about the time sensitivity and all of this stuff. Most people would not expect this, and this isn't a toot my own horn moment. It's here's evidence of effort and progress. Rebel Jack, myself, and another lady got together, and then that lady got replaced by a much more efficient lady. In the last year, since Rebel Jack, myself, that lady put in the time and the effort and the sweat, California has now published notice, assembled. We're not settled yet. We're working on that, but we have Orange County published notice. Riverside is now in week 2 of a published notice, and I believe LA is on its way as well. 3 of the most liberal counties you could think of, folks. I mean, Berkeley and Ventura County, and up the NorCal areas, yeah. But come on, SoCal, what are we doing this so fast and good? If we can do it, other people can do it.
Hold on just a second, Sean. Hold on just a sec. Hey, Scrimshaw?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I wasn't sure. All right, go ahead, Sean. I'm sorry.
Please go ahead.
I was basically putting it out there that, LA County, Orange County, Riverside County, published notice, right? So if we've done this and we're, in the liberal bastions of, being next to Hollywood and all that, this can be done in different states. Some people do have their different issues, and yeah, you make way for the issues. But with us having the gift, we don't have to be like the founders riding on a horseback. I kind of wish we were, but in reality, there is so much opportunity with technology that we can do this faster in terms of networking and meeting people. I would just encourage all of you, find one chat room or one channel you like with like-minded patriots. And if you're not into doing an assembly type of gathering, at least get them into whatever you're doing versus letting them go. I put it this way. I watch Louder with Crowder for entertainment, and he does a pretty decent job of covering whatever's topical. But in the chat and in the comments while I'm watching Louder with Crowder on the live stream, when you can get onto those, like on Rumble and the other platforms, I will be talking about the assembly. I'm not going over, that was a funny punchline, haha, It may make me sound dry and, like a nerd that's OCD about it, but you don't get success if you don't talk about what you're involved in or passionate about. And Rittenhouse wouldn't be in this boat if he had common law protecting him. It would already been done and dealt with.
Yep. And he wouldn't have to worry either about being tried again, because once, the common law grand jury makes decision, that's it, final, period, done deal.
No double jeopardy, exactly.
So
yeah, and the more we can get people to understand the difference between what is presented and what people think is the norm, and what real law is, the more we can spread that along, and more people will get it. Because, quite frankly, I understand everything's so complicated now that people don't understand how simple it is. They don't. They have a hard time comprehending it. So the easiest way that I figure I can help people in this is to talk about it and do as much explaining as I can. Because quite frankly, it confused the crap out of me when I first started learning about it. I understand, because quite frankly, it still confuses me. I am not a person of documents. I'm not good with that stuff.
If I may, it's not supposed to be something that confuses we the people. It was supposed to be in plain English, as the phrase goes. What did they do? They made it complex to hide it. When the bar came in, they started messing with our dictionaries. If anyone has been on our assembly calls, you'll notice we refer to the 1828 Webster's Dictionary. Scrimshaw was discussing this the other night with myself and others. And why do we use that dictionary? Because it was before they started getting really political with all these terms. Someone did a search on that. I believe they referenced it on National, that you could not find fascism, communism, socialism. You couldn't find all these isms that divide we the people in those dictionaries from back then. Those terms did not exist yet for a reason. They were new constructs made to divide up the world and hurt, not just Americans, but the different countries of the world as well.
Well, I think a lot of those terms were brought in by people who were into communism, frankly, and used more and more from those type of people that believe in that stuff. But as far as going on chats, geez, I'm going on stuff all the time. And
tell me about it.
And I find that I've listened to a couple people, a few people lately, and I've been listening to Diana Ploss, and I'm just wondering if she's got some kind of assembly behind her, because I'm hearing a lot of assembly type talk, and I have been here and there putting the National Assembly in on some of these chats, and unfortunately, not getting any response or getting a negative response. So I'm finding the online thing a little bit difficult, and but I keep trying, I keep plugging it, and so my thing this weekend is I'm going to be writing to a few people, or calling a few people, and I should say calling a few people, but Massachusetts has been hellacious. And go ahead.
Scrimshaw, I'm completely with you on that. I recall you and I in Pastor Sam's chats the other day when he was breaking down some of the stuff from the Salem area, how the corruption with Salem went up to the top there. So you're dealing with probably 6 or more generations of corruption. Those of us in the West, maybe 5 generations, give or take, from going back to Spain. So it is a real, you guys have to understand, those who are hearing us, you're going to be going up against people who, through family tradition, generations, the brainwashing in their schools, you literally got to red pill them like in the Matrix and reset how they think in some cases.
Well, it's true. It's very interesting because, you go in some people's chats, if you're talking to them and you mention anything about stuff, they have the basic elementary education of the public school system, which is totally incorrect, and they think that you're doing something totally unpatriotic, which is not true. They just have a lack of understanding and a lack of education about it, and they get pissed. A lot of times they get pissed. So thank you, Susanna, about that. I will.
Yeah, one of the things I've noticed about going into chats and talking to people, even talking to people who may be doing a show, people ask questions, every once in a while. Mostly it's just commentary, and making fun of it and, that type of stuff. But you can catch single people asking questions sometimes, and you answer it directly and simply.
Yep.
Even if putting a little bit of a joke to it, just so
Yep.
it's memorable. That's the way I try and do it whenever I'm in chats and trying to talk to new people and stuff like that. And if you get in and engage, it's almost like going fishing, taking your fishing. Thank you, Rebel Jack. It's like throwing your rod out there with your lure and hoping you get a fish. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you do. If you get one, then you have to, keep it alive because you don't want to eat it. You want to bring it back and nurture it.
Well, I guess I best start singing to the fish like I used to do when I was a kid. I'd fill up the boat when I was singing to the fish to tell them to come on home to dinner with me. So, maybe that's what I got to start doing. Invite people to dinner.
People will give you an opening. Real quick, people will give you an opening. One of the big things right now is using the mask mandates and the school board upheavals and all that stuff. It's a good end for it, and you don't have to go directly into hammering people over the head with the assembly. You can just tell them, well, wouldn't it be good if we could do this? Or answer their question, well, this is a way we could do this. Go ahead, Sean.
Oh, if I may, because I like to be Mr. Topical, what have you. First, I want to address too, Cybertoxin put the seed of topicality in my head, mentioning about 15th day, 1777, the Articles of Confederation. That's a great point. And I'm thinking we recently passed the 11th day of November, the 11th month, and on the 11th hour, they had the armistice of World War I. World War I is a direct, spin-off of the Federal Reserve and the world banking interests, trying to solidify their control over Europe and other bodies out there. And then World War II was basically the backlash of it. With that said, earlier this week, some of you, I probably shared a recent Sabaton video with you. Well, it's got topicality for A, World War I, the Christmas truce, 1914, 2, Christmas coming up, and 3, Thanksgiving. If you have military family, you can reflect on it. And then 4, people inherently want peace and brotherhood and friendship, fellowship, sisterhood, all of that. They don't want to mow each other down with machine guns and blow each other to bits with grenades. That's not how we're hardwired. We're hardwired, I hate to use the term social animal, but we are hardwired to be in groups and family units. What we have in the Rittenhouse case wasn't a family unit. It was a mob. And that was a mob seeking to destroy someone who, because of his family unit and his community, sought to defend it. We can use things like that, just a random heavy metal video about our topic to kind of open that door. You just have to have, think of your different inroads and your different ways. I have a few different comments I put into that video's chat just to see who I bait just into, conversations. And then I'll go further. And if they happen to be heavy metal fans, great. But if they happen to be patriots on top of that, then I got my opportunity, and the Tom McDonald, for you guys who like rap, he just dropped a new piece today, reflecting on how he gets panic attacked and everything because now he's under a microscope. I get that. Again, his fan base is a fan base we can reach out to. We're called deplorables, guys. There's a lot of us out there. Even again, if you don't want to do assembly stuff, then get a bunch of deplorables in your neighborhood to go to the school board and tell the school board to knock off the masks, or tell the local, hospitals to let people in to see their parents, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Don't sit on your hands. That's been the worst thing about everything, is seeing people sit on their hands. They just want to be the wine mom or the wine dad, because they drink wine, they just whine all the time.
Yep.
And that doesn't get us anywhere. That's what people who lose in politics do. That's what people who lose in life do. They complain.
Excuse me.
Those of us who are doing things, we're going to keep doing things, and we want you guys to get motivated and do them too. Voting is bare minimum. That's considered bare minimum for society. When people give you a sticker, I voted, you're not supposed to feel special. You're supposed to vote. You know?
Well, I
That's
mean, the thing is,
that's your
I
bare
noticed
minimum.
with
Go
voting, a
ahead.
lot of people are saying don't go vote. But the problem is if you don't go vote, then we can't get some change. Not that I expect a lot of change in the de facto, but if you really want to try to change and vote for somebody else, the thing is you need to get every friggin' vote out that you can so we can overcome any irregularities. My goodness, I can't talk. But you know what I'm saying. This strange stuff that's going on with voter counting and all that junk. So, and that's really important. Too many
Every little
people,
bit does count.
too many people sit at home on their hands and don't do shit.
Mhm.
Pardon my
And what is
expression.
what
I
does the
gotta
mail-in ballot encourage, guys? Sit at home and you forget about it. You're busy playing video games, drinking a beer, watching some celebrity or basketball player, and your ballot that you sit at home with, it's on the desk or by the door, and you never remembered quite to open it. They know they got the hustle.
Oh, yeah.
It creates the counter argument too. And we're talking about the voter ID issue coming up. I'm very worried they're going to use voter ID as a way to link it to their tracking system. They might pull a move like
Online.
that, where if you don't do COVID, you can't vote. Excuse me for saying that, Vex. I just realized I might F up your stream, but anyway, never mind that. Point being is that they may make it where you have to be vaccinated just to execute your right to vote, and that's grounds for war in most places that I can think of.
Also, here's
How
a
you-
little spin to that. That I've been kind of kicking around, and I think I might have mentioned a couple of times. But what happens if they come up with the law to essentially legalize all the illegals, and all ones that have come into the country already legally, who have become citizens of this great corporation, country, and they become citizens. Hold on, I got a full thought here. So if they're the citizens, and all the illegals become citizens, and we are setting up the assembly, they can push us the hell out if we don't take control, because they will only allow citizens to vote.
You have a great point on that. I want to add to the point as well, because I'm here in the great state of Southern California. That I say the great state of Southern California, but as I am here in California, yeah, I know. Because I'm here, though, people have California has screwed the pooch when all the liberals voted for this one thing, that the DMV ID is all you need to vote with. Guess what? All the drivers that come up from Mexico, they get that ID. People go to school, they get that ID, or they get the driver's license. And they can have that without being a citizen. If that's all you need to vote with, you can walk into that voting office, because as Barack Obama told everybody, nobody's going to be double checking your voter ID, because the anonymity of the polls is sacrosanct, or whatever word he used at the time. In other words,
high schoolers. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, and high schoolers know how to make false IDs already. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
So with that in mind,
difficult.
with that in mind, we're kind of in a bad spot already, folks. See, I treat our votes as protest votes. If they had a slot that said none of the above, I would put none of the above, because I'm not a fan of politicians in the long run. But since they don't have that, if you don't want to vote for a candidate like me, like I said, I'm a Ron Paul guy. They don't make it in a primaries. I then vote for, someone that I do approve of. And sometimes that means I vote Libertarian Party, or, if there's other conservative third parties, I'll vote for them. But I view it as a protest vote, as my First Amendment, that I'm telling these people that they suck. So never give up your First Amendment, i.e. never give up that paper vote. However, again, don't be surprised if your candidates are getting screwed while Dominion machines exist, because those
Yep.
Dominion
Absolutely.
machines, until they're removed, we're SOL. And that's the problem. Virginia was done as a stunt to make us all go to sleep and forget that Dominion is the bad guys. Oh,
Yep.
look, someone might have won in Virginia. Yeah, but look at New Jersey, where they found all these votes overnight and they let it count.
Mhm.
You know, that tells you right there. And it's funny too. It's like the way things are going. Only if you pay attention right now are you going to realize what's going on. Everybody else who gets lazy after all these presidential elections, they just think we're nuts for being a little bit more conservative than them. In reality, we're just observant.
Actually,
So-
we're just kind of normal. They've pushed us on into these titles of right and stuff like that. This used to be the norm. I remember growing up hearing people talk about politics this way, and they weren't yelling at each other and threatening to dox them and calling them bad names and stuff like that. It was just people talking about it.
Yep.
And they
They were
won't
just
fire them over
talking.
it either.
Hey, James
I
Earl
can't-
Cash, welcome.
That's an awesome name, by the way, if I haven't said it before. And yeah, I just, again, James Earl Cash. That sounds like a wrestling gimmick. I like it. So, if he hasn't patented his name, you better watch out. I might sell it to another worker.
Oh, jeez.
What do you think Rey Mysterio Jr. is all about? Rey Mysterio Sr. got a commission for licensing his nephew the name. That's why they do the junior gimmicks. So whoever's
Yeah.
Ric Flair Jr., he's going to get some money. Oh wait, there's no Ric Flair Jr. Oh well, sorry Ric
Whoops.
Flair. Got to deal with Charlotte. Whoopsie. Anyway. And she's
Well,
About her bugs.
and she's got a funny kind of shaped face. Looks a little too much like her dad with the nose. But
Yeah, whoops.
that's the thing, is once you see someone's parents, you kind of see the parent's face in the kid, So,
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
and if
But,
you've seen Ric Flair, he's got that big old schnoz.
yeah, I mean, it's
Yep.
like everybody's saying, don't vote. But if you don't vote, you're going to get the worst of the worst in there anyways. So you might as well vote.
Well,
And more so, use the primaries.
Yeah.
And that's part of it, actually. I mean, the way people think of voting. Well, I know it hasn't been very popular with the youngsters, but it's been gaining ground with them again. But essentially, I remember the whole deal growing up about voting was I couldn't wait until I was able to vote, because that meant that I was a man, essentially. I was an adult, and I, was on my own and doing my thing. I was, a part of society and all that type of thing. Now, if I didn't vote, I wouldn't have a reason to, bitch about anything that happened, because I didn't, put my input on it. That's kind of the attitude that I'm trying to get more people involved with. Being, well, at the risk of sounding sexist, being a fucking man. And standing up and doing what needs to be done because it needs to be done. Nothing more. Not going, how can I make profit out of this? How can I, make benefit me the best? We need you to put your ego aside and do what needs to be done. That's just that simple. Be a fucking man. Stand up and learn. That's the price. You have to spend time reading stuff. I know it's a pain in the ass. I agree with you, but you need to know this stuff.
Have you ever read so much that your eyes go cross-eyed?
Yeah.
I have fallen asleep with words in print on the back of my eyelids, and I was rereading them. So yes.
Yeah, I was doing that the other day. I was rereading the same paragraph. Basically, I have a rule. If I realize I'm rereading the same paragraph 3 times, I close the book and take a nap. And it's less like, this is the thing for me, is my reading list keeps growing and growing. Thanks, Scrimshaw. She only sent me some stuff to read, so now I got to I got to break that open next. And it's like, I thought I was going to be done reading for the winter. Nope, got more to do.
I am so backlogged on all my reading and videos and stuff like that. I mean, I've had, people friends with going, "Hey, have you watched that video yet?" And I'm like, "Which one?" It's like, "Sent it to you a couple of days ago." And I'm like, where?
I still believe my
My
Go ahead,
problem is I
Chris.
gotta read stuff like 10 times in order to remember some of it. So it's like I'm forever reading one thing. But
Yeah.
I'm a repetition guy too. Yeah.
I'm good with if I listen to something and see something like some of these videos, then I'll remember it easier. If I'm really interested in what I'm reading, I'll remember it easier. But yeah, I go cross-eyed right now. I need glasses. I haven't been able to get them yet, and I got a different prescription for each eye, so then I get double vision when I'm reading too long.
Yeah, I can point everybody towards a basic thing to go look after as far as if you're interested in what we're talking about here, getting involved. The first step really is to go to redbeckman.com, hit the video tab, and watch those videos. And the secret to watching those videos is, for some reason, the second one needs to go at the end. So skip the second one, go 1, 3, 4, 5, all the way to the end. And then watch that second one at the very end.
May I?
Go ahead.
Bex, I think someone in the national forums will have to update ourselves on this, but someone I think in national actually posted a video that has all of them in order. So that might be a shortcut we can start coaching people on. We just got to find the link on national. Go into the forums, go into the new topics, and go down by dates, and you'll actually see it occurred during the fall. So someone has done it.
Well, I don't have them in the right
video.
order, but I got them on my playlist. I got a playlist of Red Beckman on my channel. And so I put it out there for people, and I'm putting it out there for all you Massachusetts folk in YouTube land. Please be in touch with me. I need a team, and I really would love you to join mine.
Speaking of which, the Diana Ploss stuff, Scrimshaw, she might be kind of like a Rand Paul type, where she's aware of the Constitution, and because she's running for office, she's just not going to quite push things to assembly until she makes her mark on the political world. So that might be something to consider.
I need to try to get in touch with her. I mean, she had some really good intel on one of the last shows I watched. And so I was amazed at what was happening with her, and I was trying to find out. I guess they had some kind of protest in Gloucester or something, but I was trying to find out about that, but I think they already had it, so I'm kind of bummed out about that. I missed it by just a little bit, so I'm hoping that
I wanted to explain the links I threw in real quick. The link that Rebel Jack threw in is the one I was explaining on air here. The link that I put into the chat is for the full informed jury on YouTube. That is one long sum. I think that's the correct one. I'll have to check it out real quick. I think it's the long version. So now you got two choices there. I say redbeckman.com just because it's real easy for everybody to remember it. But the one on YouTube there is a really good one to watch. All right. Sorry about interrupting you. Go ahead, please.
Well, that's all right. No, I'm just a little behind the 8 ball here. And so if anybody's listening that's from Massachusetts, please feel free to contact me. And so we can get us on the map. Everybody in Assembly's been working really hard, and we're getting some people on the map, and I'm really thankful for everybody that's been working so hard, whether you're on the map or not. It's really important, I think, at this time in our country to take a stand and answer the call and do this. And whether you're a man or a woman, I happen to be a woman, even though I sound like a man. I
But
feel
she
like
still sings good.
No, I don't. Not no more. I feel it's really important to stand up because we need to get our country back to common law. We need to stop complicating things so much. There's a lot of things that we should be doing with the country, especially I'd like to see industry come back here. Like it used to be, we all used to make our own things. Make shoes and clothing and all this stuff that nobody's really doing now. Along other things like parts that are newer, like chips and all that. We have the technology to do this. There's no reason why we can't do it. In fact, an interesting thing. I know somebody who was looking for a dump truck, and they couldn't get a dump truck because it's apparently no chips coming in or something. So all the order got canceled. And I thought, isn't that ridiculous? I said to myself, well, why can't they in our country take that truck and refit it and get all that electronic gizmos out and make that dump truck like dump trucks used to be that didn't have these dumb things? So, I think we can. And I think we get talented, intelligent people that could do this. We don't need chips to function.
Right.
Maybe on a computer, but not on a dump truck. So, we all got to get up and get going on some of this stuff. And, we shouldn't have anybody. And I'm not talking about, I'm talking about any race, any color, any religion here, or whatever you are here in our country. We shouldn't have anybody going through all this stuff, having to jump through hoops, having to try to figure out this language, this bastardized language that the lawyers use in order to entrap us, and the de facto use in order to entrap us. And we need to really make things simple and have our common law, because there's justice in common law. We are not getting any justice here. And so whether it's for white, black, green, yellow, purple, pink, I think I'm a peach, but that's beside the point.
Off-white.
We need our justice, and we need things simple.
What was that, Hayden?
I said an off-white.
I'm peach.
We have a friend who's firewood.
That's right, Ricky. So, anyways, that's where I'm at, and I feel. I mean, a lot of people, talk about these colonizers, and they don't like colonizers. But you know what? My family came over here because they were in peril for their lives, and they had all kinds of religious discrimination and stuff. So we came here to escape that, and yeah, my ancestors were here pretty dang early. One of them was hung because she wouldn't say she wasn't Christian. She just said she was Christian, so they hung her anyways. So this stuff ain't anything new. This stuff's been around since the 1600s, so let's get on it, folks.
Yep.
Way
I
back
yield.
farther. Thank you.
Well, I'm talking in this country,
Right.
before we even became a country.
Yeah,
I yield.
John, were you going to say something there?
Yeah, Scrimshaw made a great point regarding the dump trucks and the chips and industry. Believe it or not, folks, Texas Instruments still exists. They're the 6th largest chip manufacturer in the country, mainly dealing with binary and radio components. But they could still make chips. They still have their access to silicon supplies. The only reason they chipped these trucks up was because of, again, climate change. You have to run a more effective truck, and it can't, have exhaust that does X, Y, Z, when in reality, we've allowed China and our competitors to do X, Y, and Z at our expense. That's just one of my little pet peeves is, when you purposely are losing it. It's one thing if it's in pro wrestling because we're entertaining people, but it's another thing when it's, in an actual reality that has consequences where people have to make a living and feed their children and that sort of thing.
Right.
Going along with that, if you have not gone to national-assembly.net, please make a point of it. If you're confused about the website, I am available to be contacted at sstryKert@protonmail.com. Again, sstryKert@protonmail.com. And I want you guys, if you have questions, just in general, you can reach out to me with constitutional questions. I may not know the answer, but I'll help you look them up, if anything else. I'm not saying I'm a lawyer, but I'm definitely going to try to tell you how to avoid dealing with lawyers. Moving along with that too. If any of you are new in the chat or in the comments, please say hello, because I know I shared this link out a few times tonight, and I'd like to remind you guys to like, share, and subscribe. Not because Vex wants to be a celebrity, but because the word about liberty, freedom, and where this country is going needs to get out. I yield.
Thank you. Good point on that. I'm not looking to become a celebrity. As a matter of fact, I'm very flawed. Make lots of mistakes, so no, I'm not looking for fame here. I just want people to know at least what I know, and I want everybody to do what I've done. Step up and take a stand and do it the right way. And the best way to do it is to learn and find out where to learn. And the best place I've found on the whole freaking internet is on that national-assembly.net. There is so much information there. It's unbelievable. It made my head spin. And I've just gotten into the dent of it. But I have some good friends, as you can tell, that help me along with it. People that I can talk to. And this is what I'm trying to offer anybody else who might need questions answered. This is what I've got the Friday show set up for. I want everyone to be a part of this, because there's nothing but good that can come out of it. Imagine, if you will, it is back in the mid 1700s, it's not 1750, whatever, and we're being pushed around by redcoats, essentially, and they didn't wait, for them, well, actually they did wait, but that just flawed up my whole little argument there. Nuts. But what I was essentially trying to say was, these men was, what, 3%? 3% of the population got together and decided to make a difference. Now, they didn't do it, for fame and fortune, to make sure that they were remembered throughout time. They did it because it was for them and their family and the future. Join up with us. This is what I'm asking you to join up with. Join up with the founding fathers, because we're just continuing what they started. That's all. Nothing more, nothing less. The original constitutions and the original constitutions in your states. We're not doing anything outside of that. As a matter of fact, we're following the letter, even more so than what our government is doing right now. Because quite frankly, if we don't do this correctly, they can use their system to screw us in every which way. And we've already talked about the ways they can. We've discussed the Rittenhouse, Kyle's trial. There's our views on it. And if we don't do something, stand up and take care of this, then we're doomed to all these other people. What about the people who are still in prison from January 6th?
Yeah.
For them too. The prisoners of war.
Well,
We the people versus foreigners, essentially. Foreign agents.
May I?
go for it.
Go ahead, please.
Also, folks, unofficially, officially, you've heard this from me. Be careful regarding January 6th. I am finding a lot of grifters popping up regarding that. all wanting you to rah to help them out, but in reality, they're selling either T-shirts or seminars. So be careful, folks. A lot of folks, myself and God's Night, we were discussing this the other night. Him and JT pointed out that yes, people can buy a bunch of followers on Facebook and on YouTube, not just Facebook, YouTube. Buy a bunch of followers, put up all this stuff like they're well connected, and they might preach a good game or teach a good game. If they're charging you to learn what your rights are, I'd say avoid them like the plague. If they're saying, help, the J6 people out by going here or there, double check what's going on. One thing you're not going to find any of us who've been talking about the assembly, we don't ask for money. We don't charge money. The only money you need is do you buy a blue pen to fill out your notebook with? Or do you, maybe, you decide you've got to print something. Do you buy an ink cartridge? That'll be out of your pocket, volunteer expense. There is no fees, dues, memberships, anything like that, because the founders didn't intend to make it an oligarchy where only wealthy people can finance their rights and learn about liberty. It was meant for we the people of all denominations, all ethnicities, and all financial brackets. I yield.
Every person has a voice. That's how simple it is. The farmer has the same rank as, say, a statesman sent to deliver the state's message to the federal.
Yep, and there isn't any person, place, thing, kingdom, queen, king, that's got any right to tell you that you can't speak out.
That's right. Everybody has a voice. And people who say hold office is a temporary office for a year, unless elected back into it. Simple.
Yeah.
There's no need for term limits because they're already set. 1 year. That's how much you spend in office. And if you want to continue, you can try and continue as long as you're voted back in. Simple as that. And the vote. Hey, God's Night. We were just talking about you.
Hi, God's Night.
Yep. Doing some good work. He did.
But you're voted in, and you can be voted out also. It's the will of the people, literally.
Mm-hmm.
And all you have to do is go to the meeting and listen and participate and have a bit of decorum, order. That's all there is to it.
Well,
and learn.
It's my hope, Vix, I'm sorry to interrupt
please.
you. With some statements that were made earlier, that anybody that comes to this country will appreciate the form of law that our forefathers gave us, and that they can all be included, as Americans to do this, because it seems to me a lot of people are coming from oppressed countries, and they got to learn that they don't want to come and make this country more oppressed. They need to come and help us get to freedom. So that's what I would say to the people new coming into this country. We want freedom.
Mm-hmm. I mean, working together for the common good is what this is all based on.
That's right.
I mean, just to put it real simply, I like doing that because I'm simple in my way.
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe somebody don't like me saying that, but that's what I'm going to say, because if they're going to end up getting in here anyway, they ought to know what's going on, and they don't want to repeat the crappy stuff that they had gone through with some of the difficult governments in their own countries. So we got to stand on our feet and and call it. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
Anyway, I yield.
Pepper's Farm remembers.
I was going to say, I see a bunch of comments. I haven't been able to keep up on the comments. So, again, guys, I put my email out there for assembly business, SSTRYKERT @protonmail.com. just because I'm trying to. I'm scrolling back in the comments, and I'm going back to when Cyber Toxin and Scrimshaw were doing the binary joke. That was the last time I actually like read deeply into the comments. So bear with me as I catch up with you guys, but I'm going to yield the floor. And if there's anything of a hilarious note, I'll probably highlight you because I like interacting with you guys. So I
Yeah. Like I said, this is all meant to, like the title of the show, Friday Night Rights, is to show you that you have a say-so in what goes on. And the more that we can get people on board with knowing this, then the more we can take control of our birthright, essentially, as Americans, as living souls on this soil. It is what is owed to us. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. It's ours to take. All we have to do is do it. It's waiting there.
Sean, Rebel Jack wants to know if he could type your email address into the chat.
Yeah, that's what the point of it is. Go for it. I don't have
Rebel.
access to type since I'm looking through the comment tab on StreamYard. But thank you, Rebel Jack. And for those who, you guys got to understand, like right now, thanks to this modern technology we have, you got a fellow from Missouri talking to you about this, person from Massachusetts. Rebel Jack, I believe, is in another southwestern state as we speak. I'm not going to dox him or nothing. Right there, you got, I'm in California. You got 4 different people from 4 different states who can vouch for what's going on. So either we're all on crack, or maybe there's something good going on here. Maybe there's something based in reality here, because we're all not like one little clique that all live in one basement on one computer like monkeys typing the same message here. We're all different people coming at it with different experiences, and amazingly, we're all finding that the one common thing is that Constitution. And is the rule of common law. If that doesn't make you perk up, I'm sorry, I can't do much more for you after that point. I yield.
Yeah, we got somebody from New York, James Earl Cash.
New York's a great state.
Thanks for coming, James. Thank everybody for coming.
Yes, I'm definitely gonna have to make some traveling happen once they get the lockdowns over.
Yeah, Sean, I want to meet you in person. I think you'd be a kick-ass person to hang out with.
I might be, except for the lack of drinking, the lack of smoking, and the being 5'6". So it means most people think they can take me.
Well,
That's
don't
funny.
drink, so.
No, that's the thing. My idea of a good time is finding someone at a wrestling school or a dojo. It's like, all right, someone lock the doors for 20 minutes. Like, of course, I was much younger when my job as a high school wrestler was I was the high school wrestler who made the heavyweights lose weight by way of, spiral ride, crossface, etc. until they can't. Basically, my job is to keep them from standing up. I was also the throw dummy for the coach. So my rule of life is you have to experience it before you can coach it. And I'm going through that with this assembly stuff, guys. I'm telling you, a lot of times, almost step by step, what we're doing, or like I have to watch what I say so I don't violate what's called Bivens' decision, because our assembly naturally wants to protect the anonymity of its members. But at the same time, I have to give you guys what's called a proof of concept. And the fact is, we got 3 counties pinging and dinging. And, by the way, Gavin Newsom, I just want you guys to know, as far as I know, he's alive, but there are what look to be Q accounts out there saying he's dead now. Don't take that nonsense for real, okay? If he's dead, the lieutenant governor automatically gets popped up, and we would have heard about the lieutenant governors filling in. So that's another thing, folks. Don't get what we're talking about. It's not a Q thing we're talking about. We're talking about reality. We got paper. We got documents. Scrimshaw did me a favor a while back, and she found out this amazing book called The True American. And then it turned out it proves the 13th Amendment existed as we thought it did. And there's just so much stuff out there. we're not about giving you guys stuff that'll lead you in a rabbit hole that's a dead end. We're about let's prove this damn stuff is real and works. My next project's going to be the 16th Amendment with the IRS, and there's plenty of material out there already proving it wasn't ratified properly, and the Secretary of State was lying through his teeth about that. And I'm going to try to concisely present some stuff to you, the guys at National. That way, whenever we have you guys visit, you're like, oh, what's this about 13th Amendment or 16th Amendment or this or this? And you can go right to it. You don't have to take our word for it. So it's a little pet project I'm working on. And again, Scrimshaw, thank you again in front of everyone in the world for that help with the True American. That was a awesome bit of digging you did there.
Thank you very much. It wasn't difficult at all, but thank you very, very much. Yeah, I was pleased to be able to help you. And I have that other book that I had started reading. Here was a couple shows ago. That is an amazing book by Fisk. It's the history of New England, something like that. I can't recall it right now. But it's amazing because it goes through the religious background of those that came over here and started the colonies and so forth. And then it goes into the history of the colonies and what occurred there and how they developed and such, and even the history of the first Thanksgiving. And this fellow Fisk was a professor of history. He taught at Harvard, and he also lectured all over different universities in the United States. This book was written in the 1800s, and I believe it's the history of New England. Where did I put it? Good question. Oh, here it is. Yeah. Oh, the beginnings of New England. That's the first title. There's also a subtitle, which has to do with the history of the Puritans. And but amazingly enough, I mean, I thought it was very interesting, the history of Thanksgiving. The first Thanksgiving here and so on and so forth. And I haven't got much beyond that point in my personal reading of it, because I've had so much I was looking at once. And not everything is as some people say it is, and you got to dig deep sometimes. And I happen to be looking on eBay for a copy of the Geneva Bible, and I almost died when I saw how expensive an original Geneva Bible is, which was in the thousands.
Yep.
And I was like, wow. So anyway, I happened to run across this in my search, and I looked at the title, and I was like, wow, I got to get this book. And I'm so glad that I did. I paid too much for it, but I'm glad I did. And there's some other books that he wrote. One was on the Revolution. I know he wrote a whole set of books, but I can't afford those right now. But, hopefully I'll be able to get the one on the Revolution. And, and hopefully I'll get to, one way or the other, reading the rest of the book, whether it's here on Vex's channel or whether I get brave enough to get Discord on and start reading myself. I'm not sure what's going to happen just yet, but I think it's important to get through that. And probably, next show or something, in the chat, I'll put the information. And when I look, I want to look on the Internet Archives and see if it's on there, so I can give you all a link maybe to the PDF, because I'm finding this book fascinating. And I guess in my latter years here, my heart's been and mine's been opened up to history, because I really didn't care for history much at all before. So anyway, I'm going to try to find PDF for that at the National Archive, the Internet Archives, and and see if I can't get that online at the National Assembly forums, and I'll try to post it here as well, so everybody can get an idea what it's about. Okay, I yield.
Thank you.
Yep.
Little,
Appreciate that, Scrimshaw.
I'm trying to actually get Darren on my Monday show.
Great.
I'm going to try and get him on so we can talk about assembly stuff, more esoteric. So I would encourage everybody to check back in on Monday night, 10 p.m. Central, to check out that little show. If by chance he's not able to make it, then I'll go ahead and do a show anyway, of course. But we'll dive into some other things that might have happened in, like, Earth's past, maybe the solar system's past. You never know. But going back on to what we were saying, I was reading what was going on in chat. They're talking about Newsom and his whether he's alive, dead, hurt, not hurt. And
Yeah, he's alive.
tell you the truth, I haven't really kept up on that aspect. I heard that he took the jab and something happened. He disappeared for a while. So that's where I'm at on that. I was actually kind of curious about it, but I haven't got around to checking into it myself.
Well, the only thing I've heard, Vex, excuse me, the only thing I've heard is that he probably had some kind of reaction. Some people are supposing that he got Bell's palsy kind of reaction, but I really don't know. I have no clue.
If I may, the gossip is he took the mRNA one first, and then he took a different booster, and you're not supposed to mix your treatment, so he screwed the pooch on that. So maybe he got a side effect, maybe he didn't. But governors have access to a lot of health care. They're basically like at a level a senator is, or a member of the House. They get a lot of nice lovey-dovey special treatment, because essentially when you think of the states as nation states, they're the head of a nation state.
Right.
You know, that's the level of regard. They're the administrator for the whole state. So there's a lot of investment that goes into them on top of their insurance bond. So a lot of people don't want to have to swap them out and replace them with a what do you call it? With a new governor or a new lieutenant governor. They like the elites like chaos against their enemies. For themselves, they like stability. It's just kind of ironic, but something I wanted to posit with what Scrimshaw is saying. A lot of stuff we consider esoteric now is that way because people aren't reading books. They're not in the loop. And again, books, as time go on, get destroyed. Scrimshaw told you some of her nightmares of seeing books out in the rain. I'm much a person like that myself. I like to collect books and media, not so much for my own sake, but for keeping it like as the librarian mindset or the archivist mindset that people may need to see it later in the future. And going along with that, eventually people are going to consider it a legend that there were founding fathers. They're going to consider it, a conspiracy theory that people met together in 1776 and conspired to overthrow the crown, et cetera, et cetera. So if we do not document those things, if we do not, how do I put it? If we do not get ourselves up and running, we're going to find ourselves in this boat where our past as a nation is gone. And as the added bonus, I guarantee you, those who do not like this nation, they will purge that past. It's what the radical left is notorious for, is purging the past. Next thing you know, you're not going to be able to find documents on what republics were. We have to remember, our history is not the first history to be purged. There used to be the library at Alexandria. That library had all kinds of information for its day and age. Rome had all kinds of things archived in their libraries and in their records before Rome was sacked by the Visigoths. So do we really want to hope that history is lucky and that this nation somehow preserves its history without our hand on it? You know, what type of history do you want your children to inherit or believe in or hear about? You know, that they're already writing that there was Russian collusion in the history books for the kids, even though that's been disproven. They're already indoctrinating our, grade school kids that the Russians made Trump president. Just ponder that for a minute, guys. I mean, the tainted history they are teaching as fact, and it's only a few years out the chute. This means that the next class of students, if history is taught correctly, are going to be believing things different than what the current crop of students are being taught.
Yeah.
And that means there's going to be times for both those generations, they're going to have to reconcile that gap. So if we want to avoid people having to have this confusion as a culture, we have to get on top of it. That's one of the things I was prouder about. Rebel Jack and myself, the Vex, Grimshaw, we were all around when National Assembly, again, this is when I talk about proof of concept. Donald Trump was sent a letter by the National Assembly. We as states voted on it, and the letter told President Trump to bring back civics education. On the GOP acceptance speech and July 4th speech, Donald Trump, out of nowhere, starts talking about civics education, which he was not talking about on the campaign trail. We put that on his plate, on his desk, to be literal. We actually have the receipts for the delivery, registered mail. You're hearing a lot of these folks now that are experts on how to, serve your politicians. They're like, oh, use certified mail. It's like, yeah, use certified mail if they're friendly to you. Use registered mail for the people who don't want it, but are going to have to sign for it anyway. I yield.
Sorry, I was immersed in the chat real quick. I started going off on the side a little. Nice. I got some Pink Floyd stuck in my head. So,
well, while you bring that up, I was going to say, Vex, one thing too, we could tell our friend Missouri One there, good old Hayden. Hayden, sometimes I don't have anything to say either, believe it or not. And I've always learned when it comes to things like assembly stuff, I'm not the old man, but listen to the old men. Listen to our elders, the veterans, the scholars, the older patriots. Even if they don't identify themselves as such, get your grandparents or your great grandparents. Ask them, hey, grandma, hey, grandpa, when you were young, did they do stuff with their votes this way? Did they do stuff that way? Find out how things were, and what their solutions were. They might have fixes, again, not necessarily assembly, but they might have fixes of their own that give you insight into how to get people to come to your interest, to your banner, whatever you want to phrase it as. I kind of feel that's a thing we are missing out on, and it's part of what I know you guys remember when I would tell Ricky about this on his panels. COVID is targeting our elders more than anybody else. It targets our elders, and they were rounding up our elders and putting them in hospitals and intubating them. Why? Because those are the people who would remember the world wars and the Korean War and be the first ones to rise up if they saw what today is like. Excuse me. And today, with the Rittenhouse thing, I guarantee you there would be a bunch of old grandmas and grandpas, veteran families. They would probably be outside that courthouse supporting that kid and cheering him on. I don't even know if there's people outside that courthouse giving that kid encouragement and telling him that, we got his back. That right there. I don't like being in the jurisdiction of the courts, but has anyone actually been outside the courthouse saying, hey, Kyle, we got your six?
I have
God
seen
bless
no
you,
footage of that at all. No footage of that at all that I've seen.
Well, there's something, folks, you can do right there. If you're in that area in Wisconsin. I think if, I don't know if they're in the chat, if Kelly Ray and Mo Reese are around, aren't they up in Wisconsin? I mean, you see, it seems a natural fit for these folks. Take a minute or two out of your day, go by the courthouse and say, hey, kid, you're doing good. If he's, if it's a time for him to go inside.
Yeah.
I've been through the courts. Trust me, courthouses are not very friendly inside. Vex can tell you how these places are too. They're very sterile, but very archaic looking. It's a very weird combination. And I would not encourage people to go in there to cause trouble, but you can definitely on the outside, give someone a thumbs up, wave at them, wish them luck. There's no harm in that.
Give them a smile.
Yeah. Or even that, yes, or encouragement. Just find their mom and give them a basket of a fruit basket to a basket of breads, or maybe a donation, whatever. But don't let these folks, the other patriots, think they're alone. not only did they target our elders, they want us to think we're alone with these lockdowns. We're not alone, as this chat shows. There's been several other chats I've been through this week. Hundreds of people in the chats to a handful of people. Doesn't matter. We're all different groups, but we are all coming together. And that's what they're afraid of.
Yes.
So let's make it happen, guys. I yield.
That's great.
Yeah.
You know, I got a little something to say about, you know, past history. I can remember my sister talking about a really old guy, like when we were little, that used to live in my town, and he didn't like it when the social security numbers came out. He would not get a social security number, and also he would not keep his money in a bank, and that speaks volumes to me. You know, what the question is, why? And you know, when you look at, you know, what's been happening with the social security number, and how they use our straw man and so forth, to make money on. I mean, I don't know. Did he know about that back then? Maybe. I don't know what he knew about, but you know, it just seems very interesting to me. Very interesting to me that he didn't want to keep his money in any bank. All I know is when my father was around when I was young, you know, you might get 7% of money. You know, when you had your money in the bank, you would get some interest. Now there isn't any interest. You can't make
No,
a
you have to
dime.
pay them.
So, you
May
know,
I?
this is what they're doing.
May I? I want to help you with your point, Scrimshaw.
Yeah.
Let's see, it'll be approximately 2 weeks ago. I asked my credit union, School's First Credit Union, nice little Orange County based credit union that we also have here in Riverside County. I asked them, hey, okay, if I decide to go into my get my savings account going, since I haven't put any money in it forever, what's the current interest rate? The current interest for the savings account here in California at School's First Credit Union, which is pretty friendly to its customers. It's a credit union. Wink, wink. 0.05% is your interest.
Oh, gosh.
How do we, the people, make money back on our savings at 0.05? That's rhetorical. So that old gentleman in your community, he knew something. He knew that the money in his mattress was still going to be the money in his mattress at the end of the day.
Yeah.
There's just not enough interest to make up for the inflation rate.
Yeah.
So he was wise beyond his years, or he was tipped off about the scam. And again, they relied on the people back then to be so used to their farm life and so busy that they didn't pay attention. And then once we got TV and media, the American populace believed it was more engaged because, you know, of all these televised debates and celebrity politicians. But in reality, they hoodwinked us, you know.
Yeah.
They used the media to feed us. Yeah, to feed us more brainwashing, less thought. Anyone who does the math, you know, you count up on your fingers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're like, well, they're not giving me 7% interest; they're giving me 2% interest. Oh, that's really good. Bank of America and Chase and Wells Fargo, you know, and so on and so forth. And more so, you mentioned, Scrimshaw, the point of the Social Security number and the crimes they do with it. Everybody can remember a couple of years ago, Wells Fargo would take people's Social Security numbers and open accounts in their name.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know how that messes with people's credit history, but I'm betting you it's not good. And shouldn't Wells Fargo be paying people for using that information and creating those bogus accounts? Just a thought. I yield.
Well, speaking of Wells Fargo, I have an elderly friend, and she and her husband put their life savings in Wells Fargo. And in the crash of 2008, they lost every dime they ever saved.
And Wells Fargo's CEO got a bonus that year.
Every dime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm talking about $400,000. Every penny of it.
Those SOBs. Here's the thing. I'm raised here in California. Well, Wells Fargo's, a little home state. And as a little kid, I loved that little stagecoach and the horses. I thought it was cool. You'd go into the bank and you see the Christmas, versions of it. And it's like, oh, I want to get one of those as a kid. Fortunately, never got it. But, they market themselves so well. And I can recall one of the banks that opened up out here in California that was supposed to be one of those banks for the people, by the people, et cetera. Their whole marketing campaign was, have you been ran over by the stagecoach? It's like they were telling people early on how banking was in their advertising without telling people, that because they were under FDIC as well, they were also a Fed bank. But that to me, when the banking industry is snitching on itself, it's like, oh, really?
Well, propaganda's been going on for a long time.
Oh yeah, trust me. Like I said, I'm a little kid and I want to get it. It's just like when you see little kids today, they want Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. That was originally created for I'm trying to remember for which store in New York. It was at Macy's or it was Rudolph was a sales thing. He was never one of the original 8 reindeer. Yada yada. But man, they've made Rudolph now like the head. He's the head reindeer in charge. There's a reference there. I'm being a little bit facetious, but that's our history being shaped. Kids have legends and songs about Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. They don't even know the names of the 3 wise men. Think about that, folks. They know Rudolph and all the reindeer. They don't know what the names of the wise men were. And there's even plays about the wise men. Them all in A Night Visitor. Yeah, Night Visitors, plural, excuse me. So it's like, where's the priority? I yield. Go ahead, Scrimshaw.
Actually, there's an opera by that, the Amal and the Night Visitors story. James Earl Cash writes, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson wants to run for president, but not too many people are aware that his great-great-granddad fought against the Founding Fathers. I would say probably been the 6th great-granddad or 9th great-granddad, something like that.
Well, I can't look at The Rock the same way because I found out he does the Hollywood casting couch thing. For different sponsors and movie studios. So it's like, there was always jokes in WWE about him being a little light in the loafers. And it's because, after Scorpion King, well, basically around the time of Scorpion King, I'm going to leave it at that. So, and WWE's messed up anyway between Vince and Shawn Michaels having their thing going on. And just my beloved wrestling business, they say never meet your heroes. Never go into the field you want to go into either, right? You're gonna wind up finding out all the corruption.
Yeah,
but that's the thing. That corruption wouldn't exist if the wrestlers and the promoters stood up for themselves. And they're all greedy for the same fake money. So they just like our politicians, they sell themselves out. So that's really the question for tonight: is are you folks in the chat willing to sell yourselves out for comfort? Like Cypher in the Matrix. Are you happy with the fake steak and the fake side dishes? You know what the globalists plan for you. Are you happy with that fake world? Are you going to be happy with Facebook Meta? Because I'll tell you what, once they determine you're no longer useful to them, they'll shut the power off. They'll pull the cord. And if you resist, they just might have fun with you before they pull the cord. So it's better to not let them build that by getting rid of the funding of that de facto system before they get it launched. And they're close to launching, guys. I don't want to get too far into it, but let's just say even I was playing in military simulators back in the 90s at 29 Palms. We had simulators. So nothing too high tech, but I guarantee you now, the simulators are a lot more real.
Yeah.
I yield.
Yeah. All these gaming systems and all that stuff like that is quite frankly old technology that they're allowing to go out into the public. The systems they have now are way beyond. I mean, we were dabbling with using holographic technology a long time ago. Now they've got 100 years of tech research now.
Let me put it this. If I may, remember when Mortal Kombat was first released and people gave it a mature rating because the violence was so realistic? it was basically just people that were videotaped, doing the karate, and they would add in blood effects. Well, here's the thing. That's the videotaping technology of then in the 90s. They've had 30 years to perfect their motion capture. Get it? As in,
and even when, well, my point was that when they were presenting it, it was old tech, and by their own standards. So
Yes, sir.
imagine like, tenfold what they're actually using.
which brings me to a different point, folks. Also, it seems our friends at what is it, SpaceX and all that stuff. It seems they had a docking with the space station and all that. Kind of making me wonder, why are they flying all these space missions now when back in the day it used to take so long to launch? Or is it just now they're admitting they're doing a lot of space missions? Food for thought for Monday night. Darren might have an answer for you on that, by the way, Vex.
Yeah,
I'm not going to spoil his answer.
Yeah, that's a good point. But like I said, what we're seeing out in front, what is being portrayed to us, all of it is meant to be portrayed to us. And, well, quite frankly, it's all a part of the theater. Keeping us occupied while they do their underhanded things in the back. And that's the whole thing, is we got to stop this from happening. And the only way we're going to do this is to either do one of two things. One, we start going crazy and let the chaos enthrall us all. And we fold in and just go batshit crazy and start, executing people and doing all the bad stuff that we're not supposed to be doing. Or we do it the right way. And the right way is the only way that I've come across is through the assembly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been looking for this for a long time. I didn't know what I was looking for, but I found it nonetheless.
It's the peaceful solution. A lot of people go around talking about, when the S hits the fan and what they're going to do. But, the S is hitting the fan right now, and we don't need any violence. We need to do this peacefully and settle our states peacefully.
Yeah, see, that's the last resort.
Mm-hmm.
The absolute last.
We
That's
could do
what-
May
this.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead.
Okay. This is a thing, and it's not a knock on the prepping community. In some ways, it will be. Sorry, preppers, if you're out there. I love you guys. When stuff hits the fan, when stuff goes wrong, I have been, example, I believe I referenced it with God's Night the other night. It was, I want to say it was either Merced or Fresno County Fair, whatever the county is up there. Middle of state, I'm there. My wrestling buddies were wondering why I got my back on one of our bags full of masks, and I'm just laying there all non-pulsed as a bunch of gangs are having a fight at the fairgrounds, because that's what gangs do when they see rival gangs. Apparently the Nortinos don't like, the gangs they perceive as from the southern end of town or recent migrant arrivals. They're having a full-on brawl, and my fellow wrestlers and luchadors are like, dude, why didn't you get up and help us, defend the bag? I'm like, bro, they weren't going to come near us. This fight, like, I had the fight analyzed to where I was comfortable just laying down on the ground with my feet crossed, my hands on my stomach, just watching them out of the corner of my eye, basically still snoozing as they're doing these fights around the fairgrounds. And it like literally like watching a mosh pit with a human wave, because there are people who in the midst of chaos, we're at peace. And this hits the fan stuff. Only veteran and people in blood sports are going to be comfortable. Everybody else is either going to be a casualty, or they are going to be a participant. And even then they may still wind up casualty, because battles have ebb and flows. And the first ebb and flow of a battle is, unless you've been experienced with it, you can't predict the ebb and flow. You can't predict the situations. I've also been in a situation with 7 to 8 local street gang members taking on myself, the local paramedics, the fire department, and then the police. We're talking, a beer bottle being thrown at one of the heads of the fire department, etc. And that all started because, a
problem shoplifter, what have you, decided to slap my phone out of my hand as I was telling him he would need to leave, and we're going to have to call a complaint to the police on him, etc. Well, he slaps the phone out of my hand. A plastic basket goes upside his head. Kind of happens. I tell everyone, I just blacked out. I mean, I don't recall anything, but it's amazing what a 1-2 boxing punch right behind a plastic basket will do to somebody who runs out the door to his gang friends because he's scared. My point is, when stuff hits the fan, most people don't even know how to react. And I don't like the stuff hitting the fan because things happen that you can't predict. You can't gauge a encounter. In this case, referencing the Dollar Tree brawl, as I like to refer to it, my coworker, who was standing next to me at the time and chatting, was trying to pull people apart, and he got cold-cocked by one of these gang member kids that he didn't see coming. Now, he got a shiner out of it. Me, I came out of the fight unscathed. I surfed the wave, as you call it, but I didn't realize that he was behind me trying to pull me off the kid I'm boxing with, and because of that, he was vulnerable to getting hit. And he's like a family man, a dad, wife, kids. So you see, it's not that the fight, I'm happy about how the fight went for me, but I feel like dirt because of how the fight went for my buddy, he was a regular civilian. You have to keep that in mind. When this stuff kicks off, you cause an incident or you overreact or you overcompensate, that pal of yours who, you like, he might get shot in the head, or he might get a limb chopped off by a machete or something. The Kyle Rittenhouse thing was a perfect example. Kyle went with the best intentions, but he was armed just in case to protect himself. But I highly doubt he dreamt he was going to have to take out 3 people in one night or 4 people, whatever the numbers are with this trial.
Right.
So, the fake Braves, the Rambos, they call out in Full Metal Jacket, where the Marine Corps does not want robots. They want men without fear. I don't have fear, but I am very damn aware of side effects of these things. And unless we want to see our fellow friends and family inadvertently hurt, we have to go with peace. And what's the most peaceful thing? Common law, constitutional law. Because guess what? In a de facto system where you're always about the money as being a fine or a penalty, you put people in poverty. When people are in poverty, they get desperate. Under common law, there is recourse and things are equal. You don't have extra court fees and lawyer fees and stuff like that to inflate the pockets of the judge or to inflate the pocket of the prosecution.
Exactly.
Like I guarantee you guys, right now, those those prosecutors and defenders for the Rittenhouse case, they're looking at their wallets. They could care less if Kyle's innocent or guilty, because if they cared, they would have been doing a much better job on both ends. If I was a prosecutor, I could probably have framed a better argument to screw Kyle over and not have flubbed so much as this prosecutor has. And that's if I role play with that mindset.
Hey, real quick.
The defense is lousy. Go ahead.
Quick. I just want to say, hey, Mark, good to see you. Welcome. Go ahead.
Excuse me.
So where I'm going with this, guys, is if you want to make sure that those around you are protected best, then use the tools the founders gave us to protect them. And yes, the Second Amendment's one of those tools, but you don't go to it until you use that First Amendment. I tell everyone it's biblical. God tells the Israelites to repent before he smites them. We have not done grievances towards our governance properly to tell the governance to repent. Some of them are, and Vex knows about this, some of these people are happy to help us when, our friend in Colorado went to his sheriff and said, hey, we have a body here that's willing to work with you, and the sheriff's happy to hear it. Other sheriffs aren't. It depends case by case. But the best thing you can do is let these people know that, hey, we're following the Constitution and we're here. If you need a posse, our friend in Alaska offered that service to Governor Dunleavy, and the sheriffs out there. If they need extra posses, they'll have it. And guess what? That not only gets you in as far as law enforcement's like, okay, this guy gets what's going on and he's not here to cause us trouble. But at the same time, if stuff hits the fan, they'll have your back because they'll know they can tap you on the shoulder, deputize you. And the flip side is they know you won't go overboard. You actually know the law and know the rights of the people. And you know what things are a priority. That, a traffic ticket's not a priority if somebody is attacking women at the moment, et cetera, et cetera. That's been one of the biggest issues we've had with law enforcement later is that they're, how do you want to phrase it? Their priorities are screwed. You know, the felons with a gun are running around, but Kyle Rittenhouse is in jail, et cetera, et cetera. So I yield on that point. If you guys want to add on or whatever.
Well, Mark put up there, I think they're going to go after us through the courts one by one. Well, not just one by one, but as groups. If you don't think the way they think, then yeah, they're going after you. That's just the way the de facto works. The corporate system, if you don't think the way they think, you're a target. If you're not with them, you're the target. That's just how it is. And even if you are with them, you're still a target, which is kind of weird. But that's the way they work.
Mm-hmm. And part of their thinking process is they want you to think they're superior to you. They are no different than you. They just have a degree in fancy letters. And to be honest, some of those degrees I could wipe my butt with, and my butt would be ashamed. Hey, that's an idea for a joke. Things you would not wipe your butt with from the de facto side.
That would be insulting to my butt.
Exactly. I was once told by somebody, there's, a lot of things in life you can cheap out on, but never cheap out on your butt, referencing toilet paper. By the way, this was years before the poop.
Sorry.
Well, exactly.
And what Rebel Jack put in there, just so everyone knows, you're all welcome to join the panel. The link is pinned at the top of the chat for those of you who want to come on up and have a talk with us. Sorry, go ahead, John.
Yep. We're going late on Fridays because Chase isn't going live and late with us. Where are you, Chase? But in seriousness, yeah, if you ever got the 1,000, the 1,000 sheet Scott roll, with the 1-ply paper, yeah, exactly. You're not getting a good experience out of that. Whereas if you get like the Charmin or the Cottonelle or whatever, it's 2-ply, 3-ply. Yeah, you might, get a 4-pack of it and not get as many tissues. But there's a point to this too. If the National Assembly stuff we've been talking about wasn't quality, I put it this way. National Assembly, if we were to look at our paperwork, it's not even the Charmin. It's a higher quality. It would be like something gourmet class or whatever. And why do I say this? Because all the other wannabes out there that I keep coming across, they always get their people either sent to jail, locked up, or just wasting their time and money, and their stuff gets denied. There are some people that are working on something right now, and it's still getting processed in the courts. And I'm hearing about that. I'm like, oh, they're in the courts, and there's no redress yet. Big surprise. It's like, well, maybe if you had not gone in the courts, you would have had your issue taken care of.
Yeah.
So, that's been kind of the issue, is that we're giving you quality material and we're not charging you for it. Holy moly. And then you'll have the smart ass, pardon my French, oh, well, you get what you pay for. You're not supposed to pay for any of this. It's we the people, not we the bankers.
You get what you paid for, I believe, was coined by advertising executives.
Yeah, it sounds about right. So
I may be wrong, but that's the way I've heard it. And basically, that's when our dance with propaganda began.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least one part of it.
Well, I got to take a little break here. I'll be right back.
Sure
All right,
thing.
Scripture.
And Hayden, anytime you feel like chipping in, because half of my long analogies are just to humor you and give you time to not talk. I know you're out there somewhere.
He's preoccupied with something else, so he dropped off.
Oh, that's fair enough. I don't know. I'm pretty sure you remember about a year ago or whatever, I used to have to balance these calls and my security work at the time. And now, lo and behold, I got the time off. And actually, that has made a difference, being able to focus. Because once you got focus on a project, it gets done. When you're distracted, it takes forever. So that is something I'm happy about. I just wish we could replicate this stuff and accelerate these numbers faster,
What do you mean, like download it?
Yeah, I don't want to do the whole Matrix thing where it's in our brains, but it sounds half attractive sometimes.
Well, it's no doubt it's an uphill battle just because of the propaganda that was used against us to teach us that we the people don't have a damn say so unless we vote on something. But if there's no vote on something, then they'll just make it up themselves. I mean,
or if the vote's gimmicked. I'm definitely with you on that. One of the things I posited to you, and I've told people about this, I'm going to push for California, since we're going to have the oversight, no more Dominion machines. I got to get everyone on board with me. Most people, for you guys to understand how California is thinking, especially because so many people are fresh to waking up, they're concerned about COVID because it affects them and their kids. They're fresh to what we would call being red-pilled or be learning about the conservative and constitutional stuff. Because they're worried about COVID, they're overlooking the whole voting issue. It's almost like it's a distraction away, again, from these rigged votes. So on my end, it's like I'm trying to wake these people up about, yes, your votes make more of a difference, because if Trump was in by now, the lockdowns would have been over. I'm pretty sure of that. Or he would have, done an executive order and rounded up Fauci and all the others' assets for the people pushing for lockdowns. Or maybe not. Maybe he really is a plant, as everyone suspects. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my point would be that Trump's kind of irrelevant. He's in that limelight, and he knew what he was getting into, and he did his job. Now it's up to us to take over and do the rest, because he can only do so much. As a matter of fact, him and the military are waiting for the assembly to get their instructions from us. Did I screw that sentence up?
No, you're making a point. You got to have the civilian mandate. Wait, Steve Bannon just got arrested? Good. Anybody who's tied to Epstein, I don't mind if they wind up in handcuffs. And he went to Georgetown, which is the Clinton alma mater. In other words, guys, he's a freaking Jesuit. Former Navy communicator means he's bare minimum classified clearance. I keep telling you guys, Bannon's no good. Even Roger Stone outed him, but nobody wants to believe me. Milo, Milo turned on him. Milo's pretty liberal. It takes a lot to piss off Milo. Even though he says he's Mr. Catholic liberal. I mean, come on, the guy was gay until his conversion therapy last year, which I guess works, by the way, which brainwashing, amazing.
Yeah, more propaganda.
Well, that's the funny thing. That's what's pissing people off now, is that he wants to open up gay conversion therapy clinics. And there are people who have gone to them, and they either rededicate to Jesus or they find their previous life abhorrent. And it's the same thing like what you see in Clockwork Orange or you see in 1984. Yeah. If a person's conditioned, just like a cow or a dog being kicked, as you used to say, Vex, you can make them snap out of it. And Milo had that Christ. That's the thing, folks. If you don't think someone can change, you ain't a Christian. And if you don't think people can come to Christ, Roger Stone used to go to sex parties. Yeah, and his wife was in with it too. It was a consensual, adult, open, quote-unquote marriage. Now they're not. They both have had that conversion. Are they operatives? Maybe they still are. But as a Christian, you got to give them that one up until they F themselves up and F up everybody around them. Right. Otherwise, you're not practicing what you preach. And me, I don't even have to hold myself to that standard. I do it because I feel it's the ethical thing to do. But at the same time, Steve Bannon, Andrew Breitbart dies mysteriously and Bannon becomes this figurehead. I'm just like, interesting.
Yeah.
So,
well, as far as I'm concerned, he's just another person working within the de facto, so that makes him an enemy.
Well, he spent 19 hours with Epstein because Epstein needed to know how to polish his public image. Really?
Yeah.
Wouldn't a conservative voice like Bannon want Epstein to go down the toilet?
Or
so what was really going on there?
Why would you get advice from Bannon on it? Because people don't like him.
Well, there's that too. And to be flown to the island for the 19 hours, Donald Trump wasn't even there for 1 hour, guys. That's why I give Donald Trump a benefit of the doubt. This guy actually U-turned his plane, which is very hard to do in terms of FAA regulations. But he wanted the hell out of there. So, and they have the flight logs to prove it.
Human Elmo.
Hold on. Someone say something in the chat, or were you commenting on that?
Yeah, I just put it up on screen.
Yeah. Well, for a person who's developing adult not Alzheimer's, they suspect he's developing adult Asperger's, which is possible. I could see that. He's had one of those stressful lives that could cause neurological damage, and give or take the polonium scare, if that was real.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say.
Yeah. Polonium, what they want to use whenever they got a frame that a Russian did it, or a Cyrillic keyboard, because the Russians are dumb enough to tell on themselves.
Right.
Freaking British crown. That is kind of funny too. Yeah, the spies that were killed supposedly by Putin with polonium. It's like, oh, it happened on United Kingdom soil. So you really think the Russians would have snuck somebody into their area? Yeah. And then there was the one where the father and the daughter, and they didn't die completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny stuff. Darn those Russians.
Well, all you have to do to look back in time on all these incidents, all these small ones, all these big incidents that have happened, they can all be traced in some way, shape, or form to these globalist bastards doing it, manufacturing it and doing it sloppily. Like real sloppy. I mean, it's almost like, somebody up on high goes, just make it happen. I don't care how, just make it happen. So they throw a bunch of freaking superficial and like, framing a shooter or something like that. They'll throw a bunch of fucking Antifa gear down and stuff like that and upload something on his computer and, just sloppy stuff that can be traced back and verified that it's not true. Yet they go forward with it. That's sloppy. I think I went a long ways around to explain that.
No worries. A question I wanted to float at you, Vex, before we wrap up tonight. I noticed you referenced we're all spiral dancers. Now, I come from the World of Darkness, White Wolf world of role-playing games, which, by the way, is one of the reasons I have the political mind that I do, because, again, that game, all the different games they created, all the different genres had their own political casts. Was this a reference inadvertently to Black Spiral Dancer werewolves, or was that intentional?
Whenever I do stuff like that, it's usually multiple types of things. Spiral Dancer, in my mind, it reminds me of a downward spiral. And that's basically what I see what's happening to our, quote, government right now. And basically they're bringing us along for the ride. They're making us dance to the same tune. Now, the only way we stop dancing to this stupid tune they got us spiral dancing to is the assembly. To go a long ways around. But it can also have little touches in the white wolf thing. I mean, it's one about spiral dancers, so yeah.
Well, you remember how we have a lot of friends out there that are into the whole predictive programming thing?
Yeah.
Well, I kind of, before everybody got into the Pizzagate and the Epstein stuff and all that, I wasn't aware too much of the specifics of their symbols. I kind of found it funny that what was considered the worst of the worst in White Wolf, besides the Fomori abominations and certain vampire classes of characters and stuff, were the Black Spiral Dancers, which were basically they were werewolves that gave over to the dark side and walked a black spiral to confront their god of chaos, the worm entity, the devourer, the destroyer, etc. And then I'm looking back in hindsight, with all the spiral artwork they would do for these wicked, evil werewolves that were basically they're not your generic monsters to battle, but they're like your upper scale monsters you'd have to battle as bad guys with your good guy characters. And I'm looking at that like, was someone in White Wolf Publishing trying to give us a hint? It's like, much like the Illuminati card game, White Wolf had a game, Mage the Ascension, and they had the Technocracy as the villains. I keep wondering if Alex Jones is just playing real life World of Darkness with us and White Wolf games with us. It's almost what it seems like, because within the Technocracy you had a branch which was the NWO, and they had the Men in Black as their enforcers, etc. But within that construct, guys, I want to make a point. In most of these game systems, part of the thing about why it was a world of darkness is because hope, faith, spirituality, magic, the glamour of the changelings or elves, etc., all that was being drained out of the world by globalist technocratic influences, whether it's toxic waste in the werewolf games and the mage game, it's the technocracy insisting magic isn't real, only technology is real, etc. If we let these globalists take us over, folks, in terms of only their science is real, only their vaccine works, etc., nature doesn't work, all these other elements don't work, there's no common law, etc., we don't just lose the history and heritage we've been talking about, we do lose that connection to the human spirit and to nature from whence we came, because they will be putting us into coffin apartments, cold little bubbles, and regulating us with artificial foods that are, factory grown. There won't be any of that connection to the land or to anything else we've come up with. Go ahead.
Real quick, got a couple of people taking off. Thank you for coming by, James Earl Cash. I like saying the name.
It does roll off the tongue.
Yeah, have a great night. We'll see you around. Have a great weekend. Susanna, take care. Sorry I missed your show earlier. I'm planning to do a little catch up on that tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out with us, both of you. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, it's funny that this game system, again, it blew up, in the 90s there. They had a vampire, Kindred, what was it named? Kindred, the Embraced was a television show they had on Fox for a season. Amazingly, their lead actor dies by getting beheaded in a motorcycle wreck. Don't know. Don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But, regular new actor to Hollywood, no evidence of corruption or anything. So, motorcycle accident on the freeway. But, it's kind of a weird thing that stuff we talk about the pre-programming. How do we know, like, for example, it came out recently today, Gene Simmons from KISS now is promoting the vaccine and all that. And it's like, Gene Simmons dresses up as a demon. Well, now he's promoting the vaccine. I look at it as him just being a greedy guy who wants to get his concerts going, but maybe there's more to it. Maybe there is something driving all of it. And a lot of people who know Gene Simmons know he is quite a jerk when it comes to his business stuff. So
yeah, that was the whole thing
maybe
centered around KISS as a whole, is they were making magnets. That's one thing. We all know their music wasn't all that complex, but good entertainment, so they marketed the crap out of it. And they've been in that industry for a very long time. Well, that industry has been up a very long time also.
Yep.
2 + 2 still equals 4.
Well, I always like to say Spaceballs the flamethrower to get people to understand what some of that stuff is. If you've seen Spaceballs, you'll get the reference. Spaceballs, the breakfast cereal.
Marketing. Yeah.
Merchandising.
Yep.
Oh,
well, I was going to say that Mel Brooks does have something in common with Gene Simmons too, but I'm not going to go down that road of humor. It's too late in the night for that.
Yeah. Well,
but folks, if you want to keep your spirituality, your humanity, the first thing to do is disobey the lockdown. Go to the park. Go with your friends to a drive-in theater, or just get a group of friends together. Go to some public place where they don't want you to be, and you all take your masks off at once. They can't arrest everybody. And if you run really fast,
if they try, there's more you than them.
Yeah, there's that too. I was thinking, is it possible to tie somebody together, with a bunch of extra spare masks? Of course not. They're too fragile, but it was an amusing thought. Fraternity level style pranks and stuff. So I'm not saying I'm encouraging any unlawful or illegal conduct, but if some of these knuckleheads with Extinction Rebellion can block up traffic and pour chemicals all over each other to simulate oil, I'm sure we could use our brains and come up with ways to make our points.
Well, I could come up with something, but I don't think it's in good taste, so I'm not going to say it right now.
Yeah, probably best not. But the thing I have found the best and least costly and the most effective has been what I've researched from the National Assembly. Humor aside, yeah, I still am engaging in my one-person war against a certain poster / advertisement at the UCR campus. I just don't know how it is that those Trump stickers are now finding their way around the campus. But now, instead of putting up one sticker a pop, now as of the last raid, we have 3 stickers up a pop. The more they take down, the more we'll put up. But that said, putting up stickers all over your town, folks, isn't the only thing you can do. And I guarantee you, my assembly stuff that I've worked on here in California will have more of a lasting effect than me putting up stickers trying to wake up a bunch of college kids who are half asleep and want to just get to class and pass, get a passing grade.
Yeah, drink their night. Yeah. Well, I was trying to find a good segue to circle back around to the topic of some winter and what our immediate future is going to entail. So I'm just going to bluntly do it just like that. Just like I did. We have to look towards getting prepared for possible outages of electricity, power outages, for maybe even rolling blackouts for the nation. And yes, circle back.
My next purchase will be a solar-powered cell phone charger because I got my 4 batteries. I got this charging cradle, like I said earlier tonight, finally replaced. The only other perk I need for my phone is maybe take it to a shop to fix the cracked screen, which isn't really that bad of an issue. But definitely, guys, look at solar right now, not the solar green energy folks, but the folks who sell you portable solar panels or portable solar chargers. Start looking at that. Look at ham radios, portable radios. There was something I'm supposed to say in reference. If you can go to your library, I believe it's the AARL, you can find the book there in your library, and it'll have all the local codes and frequencies of first responders and people you can network with to get a ham radio license and call sign. Go also find yourselves some type of water filtration system. Water is going to be a big deal, guys, if stuff goes down, because the plants won't be cleaning up the water and contaminants. There's even a potential of people spiking the water supply. So you always want to have a water filter or some spare water on hand. If you can't, it goes without saying, the tank of your toilet does have spare water in it, but it might be a little funky. So that's on your call. Not the toilet bowl, but the tank up above. That's always fresh water coming in. Yeah, if you're drinking out of the toilet bowl, I can't help you. I might have to get you a dog dish that says Fido, but otherwise, moving along to that. Go ahead,
one
Beck,
of those,
pick up on that.
One of the simple things I want to add to that is go into your local Harbor Freight or whatever type of store you got around that sells power tools and that type of thing, and get yourself a trickle charger for your vehicle. You never know, the cold weather made you just make it go kaput, so you might have to do a trickle charger. Also, a power inverter. So that way, if need be, you can run your vehicle and use it for a power source. 4 corners. Stuff like that. because, like I said, they've been mentioning it left and right. Dark winter, so prepare for one. Make sure you heat your house. This is going to be a very, very cold winter, and I believe that the better prepared we become, the more can help those around us. And they're going to need your help because these people don't have a clue how to deal with life without power. And quite frankly, I don't either, because I've usually, for the most part, had power. Now, there's been a few times where I've gone a month without electricity and stuff like that and had to make do. But, bills and such. But for the most part, we're all pampered. So, low tech is best. Get to know it and love it.
If I may, Vex, you actually said something in a different context, but it's actually true. We, the people, a lot of people for that matter, really don't know what to do without power, and that includes political power. Mm-hmm. They don't know what to do without it, and they don't know what to do with it. And we have that power at both ends. It's if we choose to wield it, or if we choose to give it up. If you are comfortable with how this country is being ran and you don't want to do anything, then you have given up your power. It's always been your power. When you're willing to exercise it, it'll become yours again. And once you have it, you need to understand how it works, what to do with it, because you do not want to be someone considered abusive of said power. So yes, that's going to apply in the figurative sense as well, with what we referenced in terms of, say, you have that generator, you have that ham radio. You'll be that person that's go-to for them. Or you might have to protect it because a band of roving knuckleheads might want to take it from you. But yes, on the other side of it, you may also be the only person who's alive because you have that stuff. Right. Someone else might freeze in their home because they don't have a space heater with, a extension cord that plugs into your portable battery pack, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, folks, learn what your power is, learn what your rights are, learn how to wield them, and when to, not use them. I yield.
Thank you very much. And add to that, if you know the people around you, you'll be more apt to be able to help them as they would be able to help you. Keep that in mind. Scrimshaw, you got anything you'd like to throw in on this? I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping this up.
Well, all I can say is to anybody that's watching and anybody that's going to be watching in the future, please consider to contact us at national-assembly.net or contact us another way. I'm very pleased with what we're doing. I think we're doing things the right way, and we'd love to welcome you all aboard because, we're working on this thing, and it's gonna be awesome for the whole country. And we need you to come jump on board with us. So everybody, have a great weekend. Much love to all. I yield.
Thank you very much. And well, basically, going off of what Scrimshaw just said, I mean, I consider it my responsibility to try and convince you that you're already assembly members. You just don't know it yet because you haven't been given the right information. You all have a voice, and you all deserve to be heard. This is the way to get it done, and we can fix our freaking country one state at a time by doing it. And they can't do anything about it unless they want to try and go out all out just shooting everyone. Sean?
If I may, and something to stress to you folks while we're doing this, it's not because we're doing it out of hate or malice for people. We're doing it out of love. We love the people that are behind us. It's why we're standing up and going forward. In this theological or in this argument of ideas, the best ideas will win, and we are very happy to be the point of the sword or the tip of the spear on this topic and bring it to you. We are hoping you will join with us, because we're not going to be trying to exclude people. We're going to be trying to educate people. And the more educated people that there are, even if you never come on board with what we're doing, you're going to be like, hey, stuff's kind of messed up here. How do all of us vote on who gets to be the night watchman for our little camp, and who gets to be the guy in charge of the radio, and who gets to be the guy in charge of cooking? You're going to have to learn how governance works. So it's either going to be by force or it's going to be by law. And the common law, time and time again, has always proven to be the best, most caring, and most loving form and system there is. You know, can't go wrong with the 10 Commandments. So we love y'all. Hope you had a great Veterans Day over this last week. And we'll see you on Monday, Lord willing, as they say. And Vex, it's all yours, brother.
Thank you, Sean. And just to put finishing touches on that, we all need each other, whether we want to admit it or not. And the only way we're going to get through this is the more people we gather together. Now, the more people we have to gather together creates a stronger structure, a great foundation. Come and be a part of that foundation with us. Let's finish what the founding fathers started. Let's put it right the way they envisioned it. And with that, I bid you all a good night and sweet dreams, and I yield.